Welcome back here on Green Flag TV. 9 hours complete of the Maconi Setup Shop VSCA 24 hours of Daytona. I am Derek Watson, sitting next to Finn Accini. Finn has one more hour in the booth. We've got Christian Hill now producing, pushing the buttons, making us look and sound good in a production truck. And Finn, we're under caution right now for that contact we saw right at the end of the last hour. And we're most of the way through the process. We're back up to a VSCA pace speed, so we're getting there.
We are getting there. It's a long one, so that means that we'll have people diving in this time by to a pit cycle. We'll see those all filter back out. We'll get the classes all reorganized after a second round of wave buys. We'll probably be here for a little while longer, but not too long.
So an exciting 9 hours so far. It's been now, I think, our 12th full course yellow of the session. We've seen some long ones and some short ones. We've seen some exciting passing, exciting racing. We've seen some brilliant racing on the track here, Finn. And I know you and Alex talked last hour. We are rapidly approaching, do you want to call it the danger zone? That small minimal chance we had, 8% chance of rain we had. And it looks like so far it's all good. No rain on the surface.
So I think we're actually reaching the end of that window because it's in sim time.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it's almost 11 p.m.
to midnight was the window. So we're about an hour away from being saying that we're never going to get any rain. And I think we can pretty safely say that. I see nothing on the forecast. I see not even a glimmer of clouds with rain in them. Full of, there's a bunch of cloud cover, but we don't really see that because it's nighttime. As these drivers are peeling out of pit road to get their pit cycles complete. So I think it's almost done.
I was thinking to myself earlier as you and Alex were talking about it, and I couldn't make up my mind, so I'm going to ask you, if it were going to happen, as a driver, would you prefer it happened like right now in the middle of a yellow so you could get down pit road and like make the changes? Would that be the better scenario if it were to start raining, or do you want it to happen under green, or like what would happen here, do you think?
I think ideally in a perfect world where I could, turn on a light switch and there's rain and I had to do it, it wasn't like an option, I'm chained to the light switch. I have to flick the light switch to be unchained type scenario. I would love the option of the yellow. I get the feeling if it hit hard enough, fast enough, a yellow would develop naturally anyway. Such as the chaos of sim racing and wet weather sim racing. But I think realistically, as long as it was enough to where I could get back around to get to pit lane regardless of the speed I'm going at, I think it would be fine. Especially as we get in kind of the slower speeds, it almost makes it a little more sense that we're doing it under green so we can all just kind of pile into pit lane. We're not doing a whole safety car procedure as the rain's pouring down, and we're still not quite on wets yet, but we definitely should be before we lose all what little traction we do have. One of those situations, I think you could go either way. In a perfect world, if I turn on the light switch, I would love to do it under yellow. When the yellow's mostly done, we're like just before the pit cycle, and I can just hit the switch, and then we all come in and get wets to then spin out on cold tires immediately the next time we get to go green racing again, of course. But
you keep talking about this light switch thing with the rain thing, and all I can think of is like Forrest Gump. All of a sudden, it's like somebody just turned off the rain. That's all I can think of in my head as you're doing this whole rain light switch thing. I know that's not what you're going for, but that's what hit my head. That's
not what I'm going for.
That's my bad Forrest Gump, by the way.
I would say it's not the worst Forrest Gump, but then again, I've not seen it score Forrest Gump all the way through, so I don't know the bit you're talking about. Wow. So therefore, I'm not intentionally doing it. It's on my list. Don't worry, Derek. It's on my list. Right. It's on my 200 and what number am I at?
Plus 200.
I have where are we at? Sorry, I'm looking.
He's counting. He's pulling up the spreadsheet, guys.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the spreadsheet. 279.
Oh my gosh, it's a lot of movies to watch there, buddy.
I've watched four.
Fair enough. Well, we're under caution here. We're currently watching some of the cars go around. We're watching the GT3s, but something I think we've not really spent a lot of time talking about in this broadcast yet, and maybe under safety cars, the time to do it. This week in iRacing, we got the update that was for the new GTP tires, and I think you've had a little bit of time yourself as a driver to go out and kind of test them out.
Mm-hmm.
So I have two questions. One, can you explain to everybody kind of what the update does? And two, as a driver, how much nerves does that put you under if you were driving today knowing there was an update like 4 days ago?
I mean, as a driver, and as we've done we've done similar things in the past with updates to the GTPs, for endurance racing. I get the feeling most of these drivers are pretty comfortable with it at this point. First couple days you're feeling out what the change is, and for those of you who don't know what the change is, GTP tires, they got new tire model to basically reflect the real life change in the GTP and WEC hypercar tires that Michelin is providing to these cars and these teams that drive them. And ideally, it uses more recycled material within the entire tire, and they have a nice, cool little design on the outside when they're fresh to make it look like they are different and to signify that change. Those go away pretty much within like a lap or two of running in real life. Not the point of this. For the GTP drivers and what we've kind of been working with and in the team, as well as we're getting ready for the iRacing Daytona 24 next weekend, is getting a feel for how those change. The idea is they don't take as long to reach the operating window. They're not as cold to start out, and they warm up faster. So it is actually easier to get a GTP around the first couple of laps, and you're not feeling quite as much like you're a GT3 with a little bit of extra power for the first lap or two. It's a little bit nicer through the corners. It has a little more grip as a standard. Since it reaches tire temperature, the operating window a little bit faster, it ends up being a little bit easier to get these tires warmed up and ready to go. So when you get into these yellow situations and they cool back down, they're a little bit easier to get refired back up. Not that it takes too much for them. And they have this nice run from the bus stop down to turn number one for those tires to start warming back up as the friction of them just interacting with the road before they come into any braking zones to develop and get back into the window. So it's nice. It makes for an easier experience for the drivers of the GTPs. It's not as much of a guessing game I say guessing game, but you're not as worried about the tires randomly losing grip on you because they're a little warmer and they're not as cold for as long.
The two pieces of feedback I heard this week from the GTP drivers, one, wow, this is easier. That was the simple feedback I heard. This other piece of feedback I've heard, though, and I heard this a couple times from drivers, it's harder to lunge into the corners on a slower class car with these new tires.
Yeah.
They felt as though it was harder to really, I don't want to use the word dive bomb, that's not the intent. It's just to make that big lunge into a corner and try to make a pass. It's apparently way harder to do.
It is. I think they're a little less forgiving. A little less forgiving when you have to break beyond what it wants. The threshold for those tires locking up is a little bit lower, I believe. And I think that's part of what they mean by that is that, going in for the dive bomb is a little bit harder because you don't have, when you go to stamp on the brake, especially in the lower speeds, it's a little bit easier for those tires to lock up than they were on the old model, especially once they were up to temperature and adhering to the road correctly. I would say it's a little bit, ideally, you go for the over-under. You don't have to lunge. If you're lunging into corners to pass slower class, then maybe not the best.
Maybe you're doing it wrong?
Yeah, I'm not going to say you're doing it wrong. I'm just saying if you're lunging and you find yourself locking up trying to not hit a GT3 car, maybe wait a little bit and get a better exit and just use that as your passing marker.
So right now we're riding on board with the... Sorry, go ahead.
I'll say, but I digress.
Oh, fair enough. Right now we're riding on board with the Fury SimSport LMP2. What you're seeing on your screen is just the process of cars getting wave arounds and getting lined up correctly with their classes. So we're still under safety car here at the World Center of Racing, the Daytona International Speedway. Happy you're along with us. We'll be here for all 24 hours on Green Flag TV. Still a whole plethora, a whole cornucopia, if you will, of commentators left to go. Marty Zakala's still up. We still got the overnight crew. Lucas Moody, Scott Rinkin, Sky Shrek is going to cover some of the overnight hours for us. But Finn, it's your last hour in the booth as it's ticking down. What's been your takeaways from watching this for about the past 2.5 hours almost?
I'm really excited for the rest of the VSCA season is my biggest takeaway. Especially as we get towards the halfway mark. We got just under 3 hours till that point, and plenty of racing still to come for this race. I am excited about how these drivers are going to develop over the next year of racing. So I don't know. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. that's one of my takeaways. I think the more immediate takeaway. I'm a big long-term person. In the short term, I'm curious to see how well we recover as drivers. For the individuals who had a little bit of a more rough start to this race, the 420, as well as a couple others who've had incidents there in getting those cars back up into the race as they are working their way around and getting ready to go, kind of doing the last bit of the yellow procedure. There we go.
The safety car procedure.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned being excited for the schedule. Let's take a look at it real quick while we got a moment. These will all be on Green Flag TV all season long, by the way. Last weekend was the Roar. This weekend, of course, the 24. Next up, in about a month's time, the Long Beach Street Circuit. We'll be there for the Sports Car Grand Prix of Long Beach. That's 2 hours and 40 minutes. And that's going to be a bunch of them this season. They also have Laguna Seca, VIR, Canadian Tire, and Homestead at 2 hours and 40 minutes. We've got Sebring there at 12 hours. We've got the Glen and Road America. Road America there, and there's I think one more left in the schedule that's not visible, Finn, and that's going to be, of course, Petit Le Mans to finish off this exciting VSCA season. So that's all upcoming, basically between now and like September are all these races.
Yeah, and it's going to be, I think, a pretty fun experience, especially some of the longer ones. Sebring is such a fun place to go spend 12 hours at as a commentator. I'll be very excited to see that one as well. I mean, all the sprint rounds, as I think IMSA loves to call them more particularly, but I think also VSCA, mirroring that, are going to be, I think, such an interesting piece of racing to see how drivers get with such with a tenth of the time that they have here, not exactly obviously, but a generalized tenth of a time, how they are able to kind of cement where they want to be at the end of 2 hours and 40 minutes instead of the end of 24 hours.
Yep, so we see all the exciting action all year long here on Green Flag TV. The safety car procedure is about to wrap up. You see all the cars picking up in speed, all the headlights beating us in the face. That's a staple of covering nighttime racing, is the full view of the headlights. The field will be separated by the classes, GTPs up front, then the LMP2s, and then the GT3s, your third class on back. We can tell we're starting to get close. We can see the double file lines, and you can see all those bright yellow hue color headlights. And Finn, it's kind of weird. Obviously the headlights are needed here, but I mean, this has got to be the brightest nighttime racetrack in any kind of endurance racing. Is there one that this has got to be it, right?
I get this is the one, at least in sim racing, it's definitely the brightest. And I think probably in real racing too. I think maybe, some of the 24 hours at a few other tracks that also have road lighting for nighttime events also are pretty bright. But when you've been doing 24-hour racing as long as the Daytona road course and Daytona as a track has been, as well as night racing for the oval side of things, because we're driving around the infield here, but they also like doing, if I remember correctly, night racing on the oval side too. It's just a track that has so many lights, and therefore I think the brightest we'll see all season when it comes to night racing. I don't think we'll see a ton of night racing though beyond this, and probably the tail end of Petit Le Mans.
And maybe Sebring.
Oh yeah, and Sebring, but and Sebring. Sorry, I was just thinking that they would sunrise and sundown, but that's not quite 12 hours, so we'll see a little bit in Sebring too, probably.
Yeah, and in fact, in real life here at Daytona, the lights that are used, especially on the back straight, both above the track and kind of pointing towards the track on the inside wall, those for road course racing are turned down. Well, I think it's about 40% brightness compared to what NASCAR uses for the nighttime Daytona races that happen once a year or maybe twice a year, depending on what happens with the Daytona 500. So it's still pretty bright here. The only two that really came to mind, Finn, I was thinking of that are not as bright but still bright. I mean, Sebring has some well-lit parts of the track. Le Mans has a couple, that has some lighting in it, but yeah.
Those are my two that I was like, these are like good seconds. Petit Le Mans as well, down the start-finish straight. But that's true of, I think, a good host of like the longer endurance tracks that they have this lighting. But for like Le Mans as well, I believe Sebring, it's only like where the pits are, or on the actual, like, what is the permanent road course for Le Mans versus the actual Le Mans circuit, and that, what they call it, the Bugatti circuit, if I was going to use the proper terminology here. And I get the versus, I think Daytona has lights literally everywhere on the track. To be fair, it's all within the oval, so it's not as long as Le Mans, or as spread out as Sebring or Petit Le Mans are physically.
Or NERB or any of those that we do 24s at. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're still waiting for the word from race control that we can go green flag racing. They're working on getting the field lined up here. It's a full extensive process here that VSCA follows once the yellow flag comes out. So it's a longer process, Finn, but it involves making sure everything is fair, that wave arounds happen, that cars get lined up correctly, and all the process here. And they do it at their own pace to make sure nothing is missed.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think, a good process to be done, especially because it does, once again, mirroring some more of the real life driving. It also allows cars to restart within their own classes. You're not having that awkward, restart where you have a GTP dive bombing a GT3 into turn number 1 because they got, they were 3 car lengths back from that GT3 at the end of the restart, and then had to make this awkward transition into turn number 1. They get a few laps of just racing within their class, as well as bunching up those classes to be, once again, kind of add to the competition, so you aren't, laps ahead of somebody else above or behind you.
Well, on the bottom of your screen, you can see some of the tickers of things that happen to help get us here to our 12th safety car. You'll see some of the notes of some of the wrecks that have happened, and if you want to catch up on what's happened throughout the race, you can use that there. Also, while we are here, we can also tell you there's more action coming up on Green Flag TV this week. So I know a bunch of you may be new to the channel. Check on the 24. There's a lot of racing action this week. Just after we end the 24 tomorrow, Finn, about an hour later, Nolan Rimple and Howie Burrows will be over there with Pace. That's the GR86s at the Watkins Glen International Raceway. Tomorrow night, Justin Prince and Nolan Rimple will be over with the High Tide Racing League at Pocono Raceway as their season continues on. Tuesday night, Mid-Atlantic Racing Series, Mars comes back, and they'll start at Daytona, as do most NASCAR leagues, it feels like. On Wednesday night, the Beer League makes its return to the channel, and that's a league I know you've been involved with before. It's mystery tracks. We don't know typically till a day or day before of. The Zero Torque Racing League will be at Nashville Super Speedway, and then next Saturday night, the SRA kicks off their new season at Daytona. And then a new league to the channel, and I think you're involved in this one, Finn, if I recall right. Aspire kicks off, and that's going to be IMSA-style cars only. Well, almost. GTPs and GT3s only, and they'll kick off at Daytona. So plenty of racing action, and listen, over 19 leagues broadcasted every month on the channel. More leagues coming around as the seasons begin yet again. So if you just subscribe to the channel, there's every day almost there's something happening on that channel. And that Mars League, by the way, Finn, a cool thing, NASCAR now has the choose cone where drivers can pick inside or outside lane at 1 to go. That league parks a very brightly painted VW Beetle in the middle of the track, and that's how drivers use their choose cone. It's supposed to work that way. Some drivers are known to hit the choose cone, and that provides entertainment for all the wrong reasons.
I would imagine. Anytime you run into a VW Beetle when you're not supposed to, provides a different kind of entertainment than I think the reason you're actually supposed to be doing the thing.
I think this is a joke only older people are going to get. Would you call that a slug bug?
I did growing up, but I also grew up with old
Do people still do slug bug, or is that out of?
I did it when I was up until I got to be about 14 or 15.
Until like a month ago.
Well, then, maybe it's no longer a cool thing. I don't know.
Sure. All right, well, happy you're here along with us on Green Flag TV. But yeah, tomorrow the Watkins Glen and the GR86s, that's going to be fun to watch. It's not the fastest of cars, but a car that has a little bit of grip to it, Finn. That could be fun to watch and see how those cars handle. And I think they're going through the boot as well with the 86s.
I believe so. It'll be fun. The 86s, I think, got a very nice update this most recent main patch for iRacing that I think made them a little bit more I wouldn't say fun, maybe not fun isn't the right word, but like more stable, more like consistently enjoyable. Like maybe the way to put that. They no longer want to roll over on you because you take a left or right too hard, um, which was a thing they used to do. So it was a little bit more. They're a little bit more planted. They're a little bit more, I would say, forgiving. Maybe also the right word. So it'll be fun.
Well, just based upon the sights of what we see in front of us from the camera shots here, you have to think that restart is imminent. Everyone's lined up pretty well. Everyone's kind of closed the gaps up, going through the. I still call it the bus stop. I know we're supposed to call it the Le Mans chicane. I'm slightly protesting that name, if you don't mind. I like to call it the bus stop.
I've called it both. We are restarting at the end of this lap, so that's where we see these cars increasing speed here.
Yep. So the increased speed is here. We'll be back to green flag racing in just a moment, and I think that's it right there. We're back to racing, and here we go down into turn 1. You see the big passes. This has been a problem spot for a lot of drivers today, Finn. Turn 1, now 2 up through to the first horseshoe. This has been where a lot of wrecks have happened today.
Yeah, we've seen a few throughout the day at this corner. Thankfully, as the night has progressed, the number of incidents, I would say, has gone down over time. I say that as we had, the number 420 LMP2, I think, who was having technical difficulties, ran into a GT3. Oh, that number 7 there, almost coming into contact with the number 10.
Yeah, that was close. That was we talked earlier about being harder to lunge in a GTP. He was trying to prove me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, they were saying in different classes, but I think the same class is probably the same amount of ability to lunge as Nicholas Peterson there, trying to avoid running into Estefania in that number 51 World of Racing. Oh man, as he's trying to find a way around.
Here we are, about 14 and a half-ish, a little bit more than that, hours left on the clock through the Le Mans chicane under the green flag conditions. You see right there the prototypes making their way through, and for the moment, Finn, everyone's just kind of in a nice consolidated line. And hey, the good news is if you're comfortable sitting in line, as we now watch some of the GT3s, if you're comfortable in line, this is good fuel saving. So we're watching the battle for P4 here, but not everybody's comfortable sitting in line.
Yeah, we saw a pretty large fight for the GT Pro lead of this race for a good portion of the last hour of green flag running, and a whole host of drivers coming in for black flag penalties, as well as LMP2s jumping in for pit cycles, I believe, as well, amongst all that as the GT drivers. But I think we're going to see this battle for the lead of GT Pro continue to be just never ending. The cars change, the drivers we get to talk about change, but the battle remains constant up at the front here as the number 44 trying to get around the number 112 for the lead there, or excuse me, for P2 there, meanwhile Marco Silva kind of running off ahead of all these drivers.
This is the GT Pro category we're watching right here, and these two drivers are battling hard, trying to get there. And at a certain point, though, you mentioned the driver I was thinking of Marco Silva. He's rooting for this battle, Finn, because the more these guys keep battling side by side through a horseshoe, through a bus stop, through whatever you want to call it, or whatever part of the track you want to find, pardon me, he just gets to kind of run his own line and pull away. So right now, these guys are benefiting Marco Silva by racing so hard.
Yeah, there is a big gap already built there. As these drivers got back into green flag running, and the 6-second gap between himself and the rest of the field, I think, is going to stay about that way unless they start working together. But with the 1/10 gap between Ziliakis and the Manuel Mayer at just behind him, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Oh, here's a lunge right here into the bus stop. He's going to go side by side. It's going to be the back quarter panel. And that red car is going to keep the advantage. He had the inside lane through the bus stop. And that's where they'll line up. So they'll keep just the same here. It's the 112. That's the red and black car of Jan Zilikas. And then Manuel Mayer is back there in P3 in the green car. Now that's who we're on board with here. And they're riding aboard going up to almost 270 kilometers per hour.
Yeah, these GT3s, especially after they got their tire update, move a lot faster. It's why you kind of see some of the LMP2s not being in this league. You see he has that number 44 there going to take the lunge. You also see Thomas Silva in that 77 and the 73. Liate, who we saw at the start bed of the sick before all the pit cycles we saw in the long full course yellow, all diving through as Jan here is kind of starting to look like a sitting duck. Gets a little bit of a love tap there as well. Further back, you kind of saw it there from where we were looking behind Manuel Mayer as two of those cars run too wide.
Boy, this really has been the battle since the restart back here in GT3s. And of course, remember, inside the race, GT3s are broken up. They're broken into Pro and Ams. You can tell them by the green and red as we got now a prototype spun around and a second prototype spun around. And this could be, that's the 420 car. That's not the first time we've seen them spun around today. He's going to get it moving, so all should be good here. That's going to put him behind the GT3s. And Finn, you know, as a driver, that's going to be a frustrating ride having to deal with all those GT3s.
That is a frustrating ride. It has a frustrating moment for the 420 there. Kind of caught unaware by a GT or another LMP2, the V1M sister car to the hypercar, missing the braking zone there, and that's what caused that spin there between those two drivers. Definitely a frustrating piece trying to get through traffic. It happens. It's part of the thing you have to worry about and manage. But one thing you have to manage amongst all that is making sure you understand where those braking markers are for those other classes, since they may not be where you are or where you're expecting them to be for your own class.
And I think braking markers is a doubly important conversation right now. First off, because, you know, back when the season update, Daytona got its new graphical refresh, and that means it matches the real life Daytona. No more grass on the back straight. And so with some of those artistic changes, Finn, that means maybe some drivers lost some of their braking markers, some of their brake points, what have you. But then you add in the fact we're at nighttime, and I don't care how long you've been running Daytona, somehow drivers just kind of, do they forget their braking points at night? They use maybe too many visual things. And so now we got a new track in nighttime, and braking points can become difficult.
I think also a good point to mark amongst all that is that you have sometimes your braking markers can get blocked by other cars that you're trying to pass. And you have to kind of adjust, especially if you're offline, kind of similar to how that incident kind of developed through the LMP2 being offline there. You have to remember that your braking line might be further back as a result of being on the inside line or the outside line there. As we saw, I think, a change in overall lead for the GTP.
Yep. Yeah, Nicholas Peterson has taken the lead away here from Carter, as Carter's now mired back here in this GT3 traffic. And ooh, there's one that kind of touched the grass, but we're going to be good. He wobbled a little bit, made me nervous, but all good. Now back here through the entrance to NASCAR, as we come now back up to the NASCAR banking. And as a prototype, this is when you kind of are looking for it. You need to make passes, that wide open, hang on the throttle, just kind of get it, you know, as much down to the ground as you can, and get on through it. But the other thing I think about, Finn, when we see someone like that with the prototypes where you get spun around, is it frustrates the heck out of you, right? It makes you mad that it happened to you, whether you did it to yourself or whether you think someone else spun you around. And so now you've got to drive angry and somehow manage other people's braking points.
Well, I don't know that I mean, it really depends on the incident. Like, if referencing kind of some of my own driving I did today, there are times where you can do nothing but laugh because you could be angry, but like being angry isn't going to help, and right. You're not going to get anything out of it by being frustrated or keeping on to that frustration. You have the frustration in the moment, but then I think it's been an amazing skill that I've had to develop in my own racing, is learning to like let go of things that aren't going to help you to worry about. Is such a huge, I think, skill that maybe drivers need to embrace sometimes more than others. As like, yes, it happens. Yes, it's frustrating, but like, I feel like you can do so much more with your energy working on, well, how do we recover from this? How do we add this to the things we've dealt with here in this race this afternoon, or this evening or this morning, for depending on where these drivers are in the world, since they are from all over all over the world. Sorry, not the United States specifically. But I think to be able to manage that and to, like you say, worry about those braking markers, it's all a part of I would say the joy, I say that very with a double-edged sword, that is racing in general, and sim racing is no exception to that, is dealing with incidents that are your fault, aren't your fault, however they shake out to be. It is always I think one thing that makes racing fun is having to deal with, overcome trials and tribulations.
I would agree with that as well. Running aboard now with P1. This is your overall leader. This is Nicholas Peterson. He's now going through the corners. 300 kilometers an hour is about what he topped out at. Now down the down the front straight, pardon me. Side by side cars in front of him. GT3s, much lesser speed, much earlier braking points. And this has got to be nerve-wracking when you are leading this race. God, they go on forever, don't they? Look at that.
Well, I mean, you have to remember, there's a whole other race happening here and a whole bunch of fighting going on, and you don't want to ruin your race trying to get through the other cars that are also racing for their own spots. So it's it's a give and take, especially as you're the faster class. It's on you to work your way through the class without causing problems. And you'll see like the gap that was a second gap between Nicholas Peterson there and Jeremy Carter in that V1M behind him, the number 10 there. That gap's going to close down as Nicholas Peterson's just going to lift and give him a little bit of space. Sure, it's your nerves are a little bit raised, I would say, but I think it's far less nerve-wracking to work through traffic than it is to try to battle it, one-on-one in a vacuum where you both are, the same pace.
And typically, when you have a scene like we just had here, by the way, with the GTPs going through traffic. And I don't know why, it's this driver mentality that typically if you're about to get lapped, whether you're same class, multi-class, it doesn't matter. Somehow the mentality is you kind of almost fight the leader harder, right? You'll let that second guy through because maybe the leader already opened up the hole and sort of drove the wedge in there, and the second guy gets to benefit from it. And maybe you're not fighting the leader to be rude, maybe you're not trying to block him, you're not trying to stop his success, but you don't want to get lapped, so maybe inherently you kind of just, they're three wide, that's going to be okay.
That's going to be fine.
You sort of inherently fight the leader a little harder, right?
I wouldn't, not intentionally. I think there is very much the idea, and I think we see this less in leagues and more I see it in officials of, the slower class will drive their line, even if that line takes them into another car that is alongside them, regardless of if that car is in a faster class. Until they either, and I think the fun thing about leagues, and one of the reasons I love them, is the racecraft, I feel like in general, is so much higher in these things. So you don't see that, I think, as much, but you still see a little bit of it because you have your own race you're running too, regardless of if you're getting lapped or not by the leader, by your, in-class leader, the LMP2 leader, you're still running your own race. So you don't want to give up, a potential set of corners that will net you a position just to let them by. So I think it's give and take, and I don't think you mean to fight it harder, but I think you mean to defend the race that you're trying to be successful at in the process. And inevitably, you end up blocking the leader a little bit more, or you block a set of cars that are a faster class than you because you're trying to keep your own race running.
Well, now we're looking back on the P4. This is Daniel Campos and the BMW M Team Delta Racing, that GTP, the very bright white car. And Finn, that's something I think is important for 24-hour races, and something that I know as a team we've talked about a lot is brightening up those paints. Maybe for Daytona, not as important, but we go to Sebring in a month or two. When we go to Road America, having a brighter base makes it easier for those headlights to find you than teams who maybe have a darker base paint.
I think that's pretty universally true. I think it's part of the benefits of the brighter paints that we kind of see here in the nighttime. Less important, like you say, in Daytona, but anywhere else where you don't have the overhead lighting and you have to rely on the headlights. Thankfully, iRacing is pretty forgiving on what it considers being lit. I'm going to put some quotation marks around that. As in, it is being given light by a source, Mr. Watson. But with that, it still is nicer when what you're driving in has a bright paint that then gets brighter as headlights hit it, versus a dark paint that reaches a normal, oh, hey, there's a car there when lights hits it.
Well, right now what we're watching here, and we'll come back to that topic in a second. We're watching this GTP. He's now going to carve his way through some traffic, and you'll see some other prototypes up ahead and see some of the GTPs here happening. Now, maybe someone's new to this race, and I agree with you, by the way, the lit paints are, now I've said it too, now I feel weird, are better visibility-wise, and it's something I think is I think is slowly across iRacing. I feel like in the past couple years, that's become more the trend, is the brighter paints in endurance racing. I don't know if you think that way, but it feels like slowly we're moving that way.
I feel like in general we're getting to the point where it's the combination of bright and darkness. There's not just a dark paint with like some coloration that is also no brighter than the base color. We have, there's some very clear parts of the car that are accented to allow the whole car to be more visible at night, and I think that's such a fun trend in endurance racing. Like you see it in the car just ahead of the BMW Team Delta Racing number 12 here, that is following Samuel Aragon in that VSR Competición Bianco, or white if you need the translation there. That blue but has the orange bright back end of it, makes it so much more visible, regardless of the time of day, because it has that bright paint like you're talking about.
And up ahead you got another bright car. It's a car with some bright parts. You got that sort of tan and red, almost like a Minnesota Golden Gophers, if you're a college sports fan, look to it up ahead.
Yeah.
So that going on there. Well, up here now, I was about to ask you about here. If you saw the past few laps go by, maybe someone's new, they got a family member, a relative, a friend in this race, and they're not used to it. Typically throughout the bankings, we see kind of an orderly process where the GTPs stick to the bottom of the oval banking, and your prototypes go to the top. There's no really official rule about that, but that is sort of almost like the unspoken rule of Daytona racing, right?
I mean, it's kind of the way racing generally works as well, and we see it there because that's how it ends up happening. The lower line is faster. It's also where the racing line is in a vacuum. And the high line is what would be off the racing line, which is what the faster cars generally have to do to get around slower cars 9 times out of 10 when they're passing on straights or in certain corners where they have the pace and speed to do so, where it's not just good to wait for a minute and then pass them on the next straight. So it ends up being this, kind of unspoken rule that we see a lot in Daytona, where they take the high line versus the low line. But ideally, that's generally also true for these prototypes, and when I say prototypes, both being the GTPs and LMP2s, that they end up going off of the racing line to try to pass these GT3s, and then for the GTPs to also pass the LMP2s in general.
And I feel like endurance racing is full of kind of these unspoken rules, and that may be one of the hard things about breaking into it sometimes. There's all these rules that we know from our experience, but boy, if you're a new driver, that it's, you think you're helping, you think you're doing the right thing, or like, no, we don't do that. Like GT3 stay to the inside to make it faster. Or the more common one that happens a lot, Finn, and I know we've both seen it throughout our time, is don't try to let someone by. That sounds so counterintuitive in some ways, to say that to someone who's new to endurance racing. No, stick in your line and I will pass you. The moment you start moving your car, it just creates chaos. It creates calamity, right? And that there's some of those little unspoken kind of things you have to learn about endurance racing that really can make your experience easier and better for everybody.
It can. I think the big, you hit it right on the head there, of just following the racing line, especially as a slower class, is I think the number one unspoken rule out of endurance racing and multi-class racing in general, that I think we see a lot of people deviating from to try to be generous, chivalrous. You can put any kind of positive identifier to it, but the idea that they are doing something out of generosity or kindness, which really just creates more chaos and causes problems, because the faster class is already expecting to deviate from the racing line to drive around the slower class, and at the same, if they also deviate, the slower class also deviates off the racing line, you then just run into each other.
Yeah, it certainly can happen. It does happen from time to time, honestly. That's one of the most common reasons why we see, I think, wrecks in endurance racing, is that idea of trying to let someone by, and you think you're doing the right thing, and it just doesn't often happen that way. Well, I think it's time for one of our next interviews here. I know we've been doing kind of a real cavalcade of stars as the day goes on, and let's continue that process here. Let's welcome in here Travis Hatfield, and which kind of there he is. We'll welcome Travis into the booth, and Travis, welcome into the Green Flag TV broadcast booth here during the Daytona 24. And first off, talk to us a little bit. How's your team doing? How are you doing today? How's everything feeling here for the 68 team?
Well, we're leading, so that's pretty cool. Not 100% sure how we're leading, but we're doing it, so that's exciting. How are you guys doing? You guys thinking of fun things to say during the yellows?
I mean, I just got here. I'm at the 45-minute mark of a 4-hour commentary stint, so I'm fresh, and I'm like the new endurance driver.
Oh man, you're good to go. You got your whole trial by fire ahead of you here.
Yeah, I got the whole thing going on. So leading right now in the class here for the 2 Lima Tree Racing, the GT Pro.
Yeah, dude.
You talked about all the safety cars, all the process we'd have, and what does that do to you guys? Were you guys anticipating this many this early? How has that affected your planning, your spreadsheets, all that?
I mean, yeah, for sure. Like, given the amount that we're in the roar, I think this is maybe less than anticipated even. Probably still too many, but in the grand scheme of things, like, it's all right. It's all good. You have a nice, chill, relaxing time, and then you drive really hard for like a few minutes, and then you relax again. So, I don't know. It's a pretty chill version of a Daytona 24.
So right now we're seeing Marco in the car. Talk to me first off. When are you back in the car?
That's a great question. Maybe in an hour, but also there's endurance points coming up, and I have made this hellacious spreadsheet that apparently I am the only person capable of figuring out. And so I might be in charge of telling people when to pit and get in and out of the car if the other driver wakes up. But we're gonna see how it goes. It'll be great.
So I have to challenge you as a team owner and someone who helps do the planning for 24s. You only have one spreadsheet?
Yeah, well, no, there's okay.
That's
workbook. There are innumerable spreadsheets inside of the workbook.
Okay.
It's gotten out of control. But anyways, most just want to say hi. I can't bring you guys like coffee or anything. Also, it's not that late. What am I talking about? You guys have a great time. I'm gonna go watch people drive.
Yeah, I'm West Coast, buddy. It's only 4:45 p.m. We're still early in the day. Like,
oh, you're totally good to go. I woke up pretty early this morning, so it feels late, Yeah,
I did not wake up early this morning. I was supposed to be here. I was supposed to be here to help production for the start of the race. I might have missed the green flag. Let's not tell the Mullen Ripple I said that.
It's okay. Your secret's safe with me. You're fine.
Finn, any questions for Travis?
How do you stay show chipper in an endurance race? This is a little bit left field, but I'm curious.
It's a beautiful cocktail of sleep deprivation and caffeine.
That'll do it. Yeah, okay.
But, other than that, just gotta keep that positive outlook. Also, it's pretty easy to be chipper when you're leading. So
that's very true.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly.
I will ask one more question. I know you're chipper, but what is the mood like in your? I'm going to assume Discord. I don't think people really use TeamSpeak anymore. So let's say Discord room. What is the mood like in your Discord room currently?
Brother, we're just chilling. We're driving around, trying to not hit cars, trying to not get hit by cars, and occasionally looking at numbers of when we should pit. But we've been playing a fun game though. Every time a yellow comes out, we ask the driver to make a guess at which class caused the full course yellow. We are not good at this game thus far.
Yeah, this sounds like a dangerous game that leads to hurt feelings. I want to say that out loud.
I mean, we've been wrong most of the time. If that makes everyone feel better, I don't know why it would, but it might.
Fair enough. All right. Well, listen. Good luck the rest of the race. Still a lot left to go. Hopefully, we'll talk to you again when you're still in the lead.
Sounds good, dude. See you.
See you, Travis. That is Travis from the 68 car. That is, you hit the nail on the head, Finn. That was more chipper than I've ever heard an endurance racer be before.
Man, I don't think I've been that chipper. I think some of my teammates on the Daytona 24 that we did last year maybe ended up that chipper at like hour 24 when we were, reflecting on it all after we won our split. but like, I don't think I've even been that chipper or had anybody been that chipper with me when we were winning an hour 12 of that same race. So
Yeah. And that team dynamic is important to talk about, right? Every team has a way, a method they prefer. And I mean, you and I both know there are some drivers who, when they're in the car, they need that noise. They need that banter in their ears. There's some drivers who just like, hey, would you guys please shut up? Like, I can't. It's drive or listen to you guys, right? It's not both. So it
Yeah.
is very interesting to hear how different teams behave. And, you know, I mean, I don't know if I say this out loud. Some of the conversations that happen overnight often get a little wild as well. Those team dynamics are part of the fun of a 24.
They are part of the fun of the 24. I can't imagine what sort of conversations you would be having that late at night, or you'd be listening to that late at night. I can only imagine, based on conversations that I definitely have not also heard of and been a part of, and definitely not added to you saying that to begin with. But it's such a fun dynamic of 24-hour racing. The way the race develops, the way the drivers, you spend 24 hours keeping a car going in the right direction. But you all as drivers spend 24 hours basically in sim racing, which means, the rest of the outside world kind of dims for a little bit. Not always, but most of the time as you focus on this. So it's definitely it's such a fun atmosphere in general, but to be consistently that chipper, or at least that chipper for a broadcast interview, I think is such a unique and fun experience.
I would agree. Well, something that was hit upon in interview, I think is worth mentioning. This VSCA 24 has multiple levels of points payouts. There was at the 6-hour mark, there was a points payout for where drivers were or teams were at the time. Pardon me. There's another one coming up at the top of the hour, Finn. Right, so about 45-ish minutes from now will be the next payout at 12 hours. So when planning for this event, obviously being part of a league, this is not a one-off like an iRacing special event. Do you plan for that? Does it sort of be like a happy coincidence if you hit those points? Are you more worried about winning, or how do you manage that thought process? Are there being point payouts on every 6 hours?
With there being points payouts every 6 hours, it's definitely one of the things where you want to kind of be at the front when those points get paid, but you don't need to stay at the front. The interesting part, I think, is the consistent, just being in the right spot when the points are being paid out is the important piece there. I would have to imagine you'd want to prioritize that, and then kind of be a little more, give it more wiggle room, I should say, when you're not in the kind of that window for points.
And something that I know Travis talked about that really stuck out to me was, hey, this spreadsheet says who does and doesn't pit, and we're trying to figure out if we can stay up front. Hold on, safety car is out, so that will put a pin on that conversation. We'll come back to it in a second, but we're going to find out in a minute why the safety car is out. And there's a car parked. That is a GT3.
Mm-hmm. That is
Wait to get a number on it.
Yeah, it's a 912 of Team Frida Sport. They spun into, I think it's the WEC horseshoe now, the second horseshoe of the two on the infield. Just didn't give enough, the lift that the GT3s sometimes need to do when they're coming through the kink in between the two horseshoes. We'll take a look at it here. And that car was not able to kind of make it back around as a result of the damage they got in that incident. As we look out on board, you'll see it here. We're riding on board with them. You'll see just the car continue to kind of rotate and get out of ways. And you don't really see it as much here, but you'll feel it when the car comes to a stop. There it is, the incident that has caused them to have that issue. And then they will get that car, try to turn it around, kind of pull it forward enough to where it is within the tow zone, to where it won't give them a penalty. As we look at it once more.
I thought he had this, actually.
I thought he did too. And then they made contact, and I was like, maybe not. Very reminiscent of myself earlier today when I spun in that same spot.
There are tow zones here. The track started to cut you off here. So you can't just tow here in the VSCA 24. You have to actually get permission to tow, and if it's not in a approved space, then that's going to put the caution out. Watch it one more time. That's kind of an odd space for me on a dry track to see someone lose it right there. I'm a little surprised that's where he lost it.
I'm not. that is such a high commitment spot for any GT3, given the Porsche's rear engine nature. As soon as that car wants to try to turn, and if you over rotate it, it'll just carry the rest of the car with it as it keeps going because of the way that engine placement is. It's not as easy to catch. I think once that car got going backwards, I think there might have been, you could have, reverse engineered it to turn it away, but you also don't want to have it shoot back across the track and involve other cars. So it's one of those games where, I think given the situation, that could have gotten a lot worse had they not.
And I guess, I don't know if call it a silver lining, but I guess silver lining is only one car involved compared to some of the wrecks we saw, especially that first hour. He didn't bounce back on the track, didn't have any kind of negative impact on the rest of the field, other than the fact there's yet our 13th full course yellow on it. And they said this will be a long one, Finn, so we'll be here for 20-ish minutes or so, and I think that's basically going to probably wrap up your spot, the 3 hours of commentary for the VSCA 24. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. Any predictions for the race? Any predicted winners? Any highlights you think are upcoming? What's on your mind?
My prediction, I think, is going to be pretty broad. I think all three of these classes will be fighting down to the last hour. It was going to be my prediction. Because we had a fight that was about a second apart for the lead of LMP2 throughout us all talking about GT3s and GTPs.
Well, I'm going to put you in the spot.
No, sorry.
I'm going to put you in the spot here and ask you now that you finished your last thought. Sorry, we're doing this talk over you saying.
Yeah, it's okay.
GT Pro, GTM, obviously they're going to score different, but which one wins overall GT3?
I would imagine a GT Pro of a variety, but just because usually the requirements there are a little bit higher. The driver consistency we've seen has been a little bit better. Now, whether or not it's it's number 68 that we talked with Travis there, who has Marco Silva still leading that group when they get out of the pit cycle, or if it's going to be Giancarlo Diete and that number 73 right behind him, or the number 77, the number 44. The number 51, or 71, which has Ryan Scotland in right now, but we've talked with their team manager as well over the course of this time. It's up for grabs, especially when you have these race sets with the yellows. There is, I think, everything to play for, especially as we get into kind of the points sort of things, as well as the overall finishes.
Well, thank you, Finn, for your time. We're going to step aside for some moment. We're going to hit up a couple commercials under full course yellow. We'll come back after this, and you'll be back here with the Maconi Setup Shop, 24 hours of Daytona.
Rev TV brings the world of motorsports into your home with over 100 live race series such as MotoGP, IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship, Extreme E, World Superbike, and the newly launched all-electric E1 series. From 2 wheels to 4, from land to sea, your destination is Rev TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back here to the VSCA Maconi. We've done a commentator swap. We still got Christian Hill producing, but now I got Marty Zakala replacing Finicini. And Marty, it has been an exciting race so far as we now enter yet another hour of racing here at Daytona.
Yeah, approaching the 14-hour mark is we're just about 10 hours complete in this one. And from what I've heard, this has been a phenomenal race so far. And very pleased to see as well the fact that, typically in like a regular iRacing Daytona 24, you typically wouldn't have the full course yellows. It's great to see race control enable that. Going to keep some close racing. We're set to come, I think we're going to come back to green here.
We got a little bit to go. We're going to do
Okay.
iRacing green, but that's not the process. We'll have a longer VSCA safety car process. We still need to do pit stops and much more. So that's why we'll have that notice up on top of your screen. We're still under a full course yellow. And you know what? I should remind everyone this race is being sponsored by the Maconi Setup Shop. When you want to be the best, you cannot settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need. That's Maconi. With Maconi Setup Shop, they now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, and event organization. With cars across all 4 license classes, they have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Now grab a subscription today starting at only $8 a month and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions. And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, they're their setups, but it is your victories. Marty, it's weird to think, and I mean this in a positive way towards Maconi Setup Shop. I've been a veteran of the service for 10 years, and when I started, no one had already thought of this idea of setup shops, and here we are now. Maconi's out there providing amazing setups for the field and really proving success time and time again. It's just kind of weird for me to think as the quote-unquote old man of that evolution.
Yeah, a lot of great setups out there. In fact, I use some Maconi setups myself too. Whenever I get a chance to prepare for a Daytona 24 like this, I've been using I use them. Haven't used one in a couple years though, but when I ran the Cadillac, I think the first year they had it out in the hypercar class, the GTP class, just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, so go over there today again, MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions to get more information on all of that. Well, you hinted it there, Marty. We're just now approaching 14 hours on the clock as we see the cars slowly beginning some of the wave around process, and we'll get ready for pit stops, and we'll do a full course yellow. So about 20-25 minutes in total is what this will be. Race control will tell us in our ears when we're about to go green here, but this is now going to be our 13th yellow, and I think you and I are both veterans of doing endurance racing on iRacing, and of course in the official races we don't have this opportunity for a full course yellow. There's no chance to maybe catch up the field or get wave arounds or what have you, but as I've watched this today, I keep thinking to myself as a driver, I mean, the benefit of this is, yes, you do get to catch the field, you do get some wave arounds, you get a chance to, level the playing field, but 13 full course yellows as a driver, that would be hard for me to keep my focus and my wits about me and not get distracted.
Yeah, absolutely. Can really a race like this can really put a pace on you, can really take a toll on you, and you really want to be in a Daytona 24. You want to be in it, basically. Any of these yellow flags just slow you down, can affect your momentum, can kind of distract you as well under cautions. Then when you get back to that green flag, you got to get back in that focus. As Lightning McQueen would say, speed, I am speed. And if you're not in that focus, you could be in trouble.
I thought he just said ka-chow. I was confused. Well, listen, if you're new to VSCA or to IMSA racing, there are technically 4, but we're going to focus on 3 classes of racing here. Marty, look at this graphic. Walk us through some of the difference in these classes of cars we have on the track today.
Yeah, so the GTPs, these are the fastest cars out there, taking out 600, 700 horsepower. And they also got that hybrid motor that drivers can control on the ERS mode, whether you want to recharge, you want to get a boost, or be in neutral mode. The LMP2, a little bit similar, doesn't have the hybrid, less advanced aerodynamics as well at the same time. Then you got the GT3 class. This is similar to what the sports cars that you see from time to time at those car shows, those production-based base engines. 100 less horsepower, heavier in weight, simplified aero. All the cars still with the traction control. The GT3s though with the ABS as well. A lot slower in class, can get lapped pretty quicker. And keep in mind as well, the GT3s, they've got as well 2 separate classes. They've got the GTD and the GTD Pro, but they're still competing at the same exact pace.
Yeah, those classes splits were determined preseason about who is Pro and AM, but you're right, they're the exact same car. It's just maybe a difference in the drivers and their ratings, what have you. It doesn't mean that an AM can't win this thing, right? An AM could very easily beat some pros, and we'll see how that comes out here. This, and I think it's fair to say across iRacing as a whole, I'm sad to say, Marty, that middle class, that LMP2, across the community seems to be kind of losing traction a little bit, right? It just seems like maybe over time there's less and less of them on the track. It's really, for the moment, become kind of a 2-horse race between the GTPs and the GT3s.
Remember too, a couple years back, like say like 2022 or so, the LMP2 car was the car that we were running on iRacing in the Daytona 24. This was because this was before all the IMSA prototype cars, the LMP1 cars, whatever you want to call it, were all put into iRacing. And ever since we've got, like, for example, the BMWs, the Cadillacs, the Porsches, if there's Acuras in here, for example, them too. That all those coming into iRacing and the updates we've had the past couple of years have really dwindled down. Less usage of the Dallara LMP2, but there's still people out there that love to drive it. It's a fun car to drive too from time to time.
Yeah, very fun. So there's some of the breakdown there. Thanks to Christian Hill, our producer, put that graphic together last night to help explain some differences. But a question came up in YouTube chat: how do we decide who we interview? A bunch of it really is about who shows up. There's a waiting interview room or interview waiting room in the VSCA Discord. If you or your team wants to come talk about your race and the highlights, the lowlights, or what have you, hop in there and be patient with us. We might be in the middle of a point we need to finish before we can get to you, but we will get to you eventually. If you pop up in that room, we'll do some interview requests as well as the night goes on. But that is a big portion of how we decide, since there was a user in the YouTube chat who asked that question. So right now, Marty, as we approach an even numbered hour, the other thought that enters my head every time we approach an even numbered hour, such as the 10-hour mark, is typically, I feel like teams, especially for the GT3s, you plan in 2-hour stints. So like when we go green here again, it's possible we see some new drivers who maybe even haven't touched the car yet today or haven't touched it in hours. And of course, as the math goes on for the different car classes, that's not perfect math. The GTPs and the LMP2s have way shorter gas stints if we can stay green that long. But every time that even numbered hour hits, I begin to wonder how many new drivers could be in the field when we go green.
Yeah, pits are open here this time. Everyone's going to come in. I will just see if there's going to be any driver swaps. I'm watching right now on, no, we're watching here one of the GT drivers. I'm watching the prototype on my end. They're doing the number 7 Wastegate racing ride. They're going with the 32 Ferrari. They're going with the change here with Selena Ward now in the vehicle. I'm seeing it as well in the Cadillac World of Sim Racing group. Iker Estefania checking in. Mark Scherschel from Albrecht Motorsports also on there. Noticing one prototype deciding to stay out and assume the lead for right now. That's Samuel Aragon. Now the Porsche pitted about 7 laps ago, still keeping Aragon in the race car, obviously. They didn't make a driver change, so we'll see how they can do out in front and with the worn tires. It is a traffic jam exiting pit road.
Yeah, it was really tight there for a second, but Race Control is going through the process with the drivers, getting them back up to the appropriate pace speed. But I wanted to mention that we saw kind of funny there that doesn't happen in real life, Marty. There's not enough pit stalls at virtual Daytona for all the cars we have. So some cars, quote unquote, share pit stalls here at Daytona. So that's why you saw one car on top of another. That wasn't a bad thing. That wasn't a wreck. That's just how the iRacing software works. They both pitted and got away just fine. That, I believe, was a prototype sitting on top of a GT3.
Yeah, that from time to time, to say the least.
I mean, I've seen it during the race a couple times, but just in a very different context.
That's iRacing for you, I guess.
Certainly is, right? Well, here's the number. Here's the first place car. The number 7 is currently, that's Samuel Aragon you mentioned earlier, and so right now they're the leading GTP, and I feel like from a racing standard, a very iconic color scheme.
Yes,
That blue and
absolutely.
orange.
It reminds me a lot of like one of those NOS energy drink paint schemes. You know, I watch a lot of the World of Outlaws, and they've got those NOS energy drink drivers out there. Heck, even in the Cup Series, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is a NOS car, and yeah, kind of gives you that blue and orange feeling.
I know very different hues, tints, whatever you want to call them. I was thinking McLaren.
You were thinking of McLaren?
Yeah,
Well,
orange and
McLaren
blue.
used to have that orange and I know like
Yeah.
the big Lego model that they had that they had the blue and orange, but no, for me it's it's not orange, it's papaya. I'm a McLaren fan in F1, so it's
Don't
papaya and
that.
black. Hey, I gotta get that right. I'm a McLaren super fan, so.
All right. Well, right now we're getting ready, I think, or at least getting closer to the start. They have told the leader we just saw, that 7 car, he'll be the quote-unquote pace car, because there is no pace car left on track. So as we get ready to go green, we'll go green when we hit the start-finish line in a couple of laps or so. We'll try and tell you when that's going to happen, and we'll walk you through that and let you know. Right now, they're on screen. This is LMP2s. This is the Fury SimSport LMP2 machine of Don D. Reuter, and they're hanging along right here. So on the side of your screen, you can see all 4 classes separated by colors. The GTPs are black, the LMP2s are blue, the GT3 Pros, or GTD Pros as you call them, are red, and the AMs are in green. You can also see all the manufacturer icons as well. And of course, I always joke and say those silly LMP2s, Marty, couldn't they pick a different car?
And unfortunately, they only had one, I think.
They only had one. Yeah, they do. They only have one. But all kidding aside, though, if you do look up and down the fields as it scrolls around here for the GTPs or the GT3s, I'm excited to see the parity of the car manufacturers that are being represented in today's race.
Yeah, you got like in GTB, for example, you got Porsche, Ferrari, BMW, Cadillac, Acura on the GT side. You got Aston Martin, McLaren, Porsche, BMW, Corvette, Acura, Mercedes all in here. Ford too. I know they just had the Mustang come out a couple weeks ago as well. So lot of parity when it comes to the manufacturers. It's great to see. Everyone has their specific preference based off how good the setup is. In particular, they may have a bunch of different setups for different cars they're trying out, and maybe the one that they preferred at the same time.
All right, well, you see all the cars getting lined up here. That's a good sign that we're getting closer and closer to going green flag yet again. Very, very dark outside. In fact, it's now, I believe, past 11 p.m. virtual sim time, Marty. So at least in real life, this would have been the fireworks show.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, about to hit midnight as well, too, at the same time. Yeah. I think the fireworks typically, if the Rolex 24 happen around 9 p.m. I got a buddy going there in a couple weeks who typically stays up for all 24 hours. So.
All right. Well, while we're doing this, let's go ahead and get in our next interview, and this will be from Kyle Burney. Let's welcome Kyle in here. Kyle, welcome into the Green Flag TV broadcast booth. You're with Derek Watson and Marty Sakalo. How is your day going, first off?
There's 2 sides. There's the organizer side, and then there's the participant side. Overall, I think that they're both pretty good. Better than in years past, but yeah, if we're looking at the race side of things are really good. We're having a good race so far, and just sticking to our plan of doing everything we can to stay out of trouble, make it to sunrise, see where we're at, and then really get to the last couple hours before we really start doing anything crazy.
I almost asked you which side of your day is busier, the race control side or the driving side, but I think I know it's probably the race control side.
It is. Thankfully, the driving side and at least the team side, I'm very, very fortunate. We got myself, my brother, Nicholas, and Selena, and the 4 of us have been together for, I want to say a full year, maybe 2 years now. and generally speaking, it's, you know, we're all really good with the setups. It's really easy to find a setup that works for everybody, and everyone's really kind of adaptable and flexible. So it's the team side and the driving side is extremely easy, which is very happy to be able to do it. And then it's just the organizer side and race controls a little bit busy, but it's nice because we got probably about a good, I want to say about 5 members that have helped us out and joined this year. So whenever I'm not in the car, I'm kind of just making sure I'm sitting over their shoulder because this is kind of their first time running through things and getting up to speed. But overall, it's good.
And I can say I've done that job for different groups before. It's difficult and thankless a lot of times. So let me be the one to say thank you to you and your team for doing it, for keeping this organized and put together. Because it's often one of those jobs that when it goes right, people don't know it. But when it does go wrong, everyone somehow seems to know it very easily.
That's very, very true. It's really good, and we really enjoy it. Just overall, I was talking with Ben and the other organizers about this today. I think high-level VSCA, we're in the better spot than we've ever been. You know, starting, I think this is our 5th year and our 5th championship, and it's really growing really great. You know, we've kind of really solidified a lot of the things that we've got in place, and the best part about all this is when you look at the grid and the teams that are involved overall, we have a really, really solid group of, I'd say probably 20 to 25 teams, and I want to say about 35 to 40 entries that are keep coming back. They kind of know the process, they know the procedures, and you know they're really good. They've bought into everything that we're trying to achieve. They want to achieve it too, and they're helping out. And it's been great having everybody in VSCA season after season.
Smarty, I know the last couple years you've won in the Daytona 24 here in the prototype division. When you get to a race like this, knowing that you've won the last 2 seasons, just does the tension, the hype just increase year after year after year?
It increases, but at the same time, there's a kind of a calming effect over it. Because you don't have that, like, we're close, but we've never done it yet. It's just that we know that we can do it. So because we know that we can do it, it kind of brings a sense of calm to where it's like, we can just stick to our plan. We know how everything plays out, and we're able to just do what we need to do to make sure we're up front. And as long as we stick to that, we'll be good. And that's kind of what we've been doing. I think when it gets to the last few hours of the race, that's when it really gets kind of the hyped up, where if we're in it for a championship or win rather, at the end of that, that's where it starts to get kind of that nerve-wracking and the hype, and you know, we try to make sure that we're in that good spot and then put whoever we can at the end of the race in that's fresh and can do what needs to do to drive to the front.
Well, I know out in your area right now it's 5:17 local time. When we get to the final hours of that, that's basically the overnight shift for you guys, with the checkered likely coming, I would have to say probably around 7 a.m. your time. How do you guys get ready for that, knowing that the final hours, you're on the lead lap, got a chance to win the Daytona 24, but you're now dealing with the overnight, trying to figure out sleep schedules and all that?
Put in our trusty Danish driver of Nicholas in the car. He's kind of the joke that we say he's the alien, and he's the good driver. But we're all on a really good spot and kind of a good pace. But we have nice that we're kind of spread out around the globe. So we got my brother and I in the west coast of the U.S. Selena's on the east coast, and then obviously Nick being over in Europe and Denmark. We kind of split it up to where usually the last, I'd say about 6 hours of the race, Selena and Nick mainly cover, just because it's better for them. And then while they're getting their rest and the sleep, that's when my brother and I kind of take a lot of the heavy lifting until it gets to the kind of graveyard shift for us. So it works out great to be able to have the people around the world to not really have to do that brutal 2 to 4 or 5 a.m. graveyard shift that no one really likes to do.
Christian? I'm sorry, Derek?
No, I think I'm good. Listen, I want to wish you the best of luck in the rest of the race here, Kyle, both on the driver's side and on the organizer's side. And hopefully we'll get to talk to you in about, 13 and a half hours from Victory Lane?
I'd be hopeful. That'd be really good. It'd be nice to get another win back here again. And I want to thank you guys and everybody at Green Flag TV. You guys have an amazing product that you guys do, and it's great having you back for the full season.
All right, thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, that is Kyle there, and part of that team right there, the GTP you see on the track there, are on the screen there, Marty, and that's an important thing to talk about. I was jealous when he talked about having two West Coasters, an East Coaster, and a European. That as far as scheduling an endurance race, that is like that is the dream team, not to borrow the old Olympic terminology.
You know, if you can have a bunch of different time zones in a 24-hour race, that's absolutely very huge. Because you know, you've got some people on your team, they don't like the overnight shift. It's absolutely tough when you have 4 drivers on the East Coast and one of them has to be up from midnight to 3 and maybe somebody from the 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. shift. If you can have some on the West Coast, some on the East Coast, and then when everybody's sleeping, have your Dutch driver do the damage like what Kyle was just mentioning, that's absolutely perfect. They can still race during the daylight and have everyone else at night in their time zones just sleeping and just hoping for a good result in the end.
All right, well, we're lined up here. Let's take a look this time by and see if this is when VSCA Race Control may let us drop the green flag and go back full bore racing yet again here. We're at about 13 hours and 48 minutes on the clock currently. Happier with us here on Green Flag TV. Derek Watson and Marty Sakala with Christian Hill pushing the buttons down in the production truck. And I think we're going to hear back down to pit speed, so I'm not sure this is the time here. So we'll keep talking and going on. You see there's the iRace plan at number 32 making their way around the field trying to get their spot up in pacing order. And you know, Marty, not just the time zones, but part of the fun of endurance racing is the people you meet. I mean, I've met now friends I have in life from endurance racing on iRacing. You know, people that I've known for years now. They're just our best friends. Sometimes you race with relatives. We hear stories about brothers or fathers and sons racing together. I know of husbands and wives who do endurance racing together. Or sometimes you go somewhere like the VSCA Discord, the iRacing forums, or what have you, and you find teammates that you just don't know, and you meet those random connections, and that camaraderie, that trust, that friendship is one of the best parts of endurance racing.
I've met a bunch of them too in person. My recent Daytona 24 that I did, we all met up at, there are 2 different places we all met up. One of them, Knoxville Nationals, out in August for the big sprint car race, and then up at Super Dirt Week in Oswego, the big dirt modified race they have up there every year in New York. So the relationships really last a lifetime because they're all practicing together, all trying to figure out together day by day, week by week, what's working, what is not, and that relationship comes together. And if it comes together very well, it can last a lifetime, and heck, you'll be able to meet up in person down the road.
Yeah, some of the best moments and some of the best memories I have are from endurance racing. Still working our full course yellow here under caution here at Daytona. Happy along on Green Flag TV. We're kind of watching some of the cars pace around here, and this is going to be Jason Ketty. And good news, Marty, restart end of this lap.
You love the sound of that. This is sometimes the better factor of, sometimes the tough part of having the yellows under road courses. They can last a lifetime. It's kind of like when we have the yellows at like the 24 hours of Le Mans. Those full course yellows can sometimes last 1 hour, but it's just because of how long the track is. It's a 8-mile road course. But now we're ready here for this restart. Everybody is in order. Aragon leading in GTP. You've got with 7 drivers on the lead lap. Then it's Jorge Diaz out in the Delara and the LMP2 out in front with about six or, I'm sorry, bear with me. Boo the joke. 6-7 cars on the lead lap or so in that one. Yeah, I know. Forced my way into it. And on the GT side, combining both classes, there's like 13 drivers here on the lead lap of the top 5 in each class, all battling for the lead. When we come back to the green flag, the leader Aragon, it's going past Le Mans chicane. The restart zone is out here in NASCAR 3, coming back to the green flag here with just under 14 hours left on the clock.
They'll step on the gas pedals, they'll get moving, they'll be in line for the moment. Green flags back out into this lap. They're full bore, they're on the paddles. Let's see if anyone lunges into turn 1, Marty. Is it coming right here? Look for second and third.
There we go.
Anything happen?
And this is the positive of having the restarts in turn number 3. Ward can have that slipstream to his advantage when they're going over 300 kilometers an hour going into turn number 1. But Argon, with great defense, holding that racing groove, plays it perfectly. Now Ward stuck in a battle for second. Diaz trying to make a run underneath in the International Horseshoe, up to the 3rd spot past the Ferrari.
Great battle going on so far. Mostly right now, all calm up in the GTPs. We'll look back at some different classes in a second, see different battles that are happening here. But right now, up front in our top class, all looking pretty clean so far. And that blue and orange machine, what do you think it's McLaren? What do you think it's whatever you think of when you see it? Right now, they're thinking of victory.
Without question, definitely are. Taking a look back at some other classes here, too. The Rooters still with a challenge from Mancha and Brioso. They're coming off the final corner in the infield. Mancha just gets a little bit wide as they set up to NASCAR 1. I don't know if the Rooters got enough gap here to get a slipstream to set them up for the next lap possibly, but DeRuiter with a fast hot rod at the moment.
Great run here as you see him now coming down that back straight. He'll look for his braking point. He'll make the left-hand turn into the Le Mans chicane or the bus stop, get a couple tires up in the curbing. And with that new curbing this year, Marty, you got to be more careful than ever about flirting with that curb.
Absolutely. It's a lot worse. You hit the curb, the back end's just going to come out from underneath you. It's like you're on it's like you're on ice skates, basically, and you get tripped up. We got one sideways as well. The 65 Littleton in the Porsche for Vulture Motorsports just run around there in that Le Mans chicane. He's off track safely, though. Should be able to merge properly.
Wow, that's a wild way to get loose there. Typically, you see him he was going to make a full 360 here, Marty. He's going to have to go to the bus stop a second time almost. He'll go to the outside of it, and he'll now come around here and wait for a safe time to merge. And looking on back, that's Jeremy Littleton with Vulture Motorsports, as you said. And that GT Pro will now have to work his way back through the field slowly after that spin in the bus stop.
You know, one of the benefits of this latest track refreshment, to say the least, is that the backstretch, no grass anymore. Thank goodness. If you touched grass over there, no matter what car it was, this is the replay of what happened with Littleton. I know there was car contact, but if you touch grass out there, especially like when you're going in the infield trying to cut through with that right-hander, that car was going sideways and you're likely damaging your car, whether it be off a tire barrel or off the safer barrier.
Yeah, that is very true, and of course it's worth mentioning, by the way, some of these new tire barrels, especially that one right there with the blue and yellow. That's a new tire barrel, or at least an upgraded tire barrel in iRacing right now, Marty, with the season update. And what that means is that tire barrel moves if someone hits it. Yes, you're still going to hurt your car. It's still going to suck a lot to hit that barrel. But those tires are going to kind of, I don't want to say explode, but they're going to scatter if you hit that one tire barrel right there.
Excited to see that. Have we had that yet tonight?
I don't think so. I
hope to see it.
I've seen all but like 2 hours of coverage when I went off and got some lunch before my commentary stint. But I mean, I'm excited to see it, but I'm not going to be excited for someone else to hit it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I wouldn't be excited for the driver, but just to see the animation would just be so cool. This is Block here in the GT Pro division, looking for 5th here at the moment. Going through the leaderboard on my end, racing with Ziliakis. It's an Aston versus a McLaren. And the draft here in the GT is just as powerful as it is in the GTP class. Whoa. And look at this, a big lunge underneath as well by Herbie here in the Porsche to make his way past Block. That is aggressive going into turn 1. Very tight on the low side. You're right next to the barrier that separates you from pit exit. And a big move by Herbie, or the Canadian, up to P6 in class.
And it's an odd move to see. He's right before you came in, Marty. Finn and I were talking about with this new GTP tire update. The GTPs all week long have said they feel like they're having a harder time lunging through the corners like that. But apparently in the GT3, it's still very possible.
Yeah, they're also trying to let one of the LMP cars behind as well, not for position, just going to lap their way through. You got to make sure as well, especially for some of these drivers that maybe aren't used to running road full time, or maybe are dedicated to, whether it be like asphalt oval or dirt track oval, you want to make sure if you're in one of those faster cars as well, you've got mapped on your controls or even a button box, got to make sure you got that light flash mapped on, meaning that, hey, you're approaching the faster cars are approaching you for the GTs, just so they're aware.
That light flash really means about 100 different things, doesn't it? It depends on when you're using it and what you think it means. It doesn't always mean the same thing to everybody, right?
One person may think, hey, we're approaching here. The other person may be ticked off.
Yeah, for some people it may be a 4-letter word. For some people it may not be. You never know.
Yes. This is Mayer in the Porsche challenging the McLaren of Solly for second. The German's going at it here into turn 1.
They are challenging and going for things indeed right now on the track, and there's some more action happening here. Right there on your screen you'll see the GT3 riding on back here. It's trying to get that green and white car that, well, I think it was a Castrol GTX style paint scheme.
It looks like it, yeah.
On the car. That may be my old NASCAR roots coming back into to play a little bit. They're trying to make a move here.
Yeah, you know, I think for right now, if you're Mayer, just be patient. Just try and get that slipstream, and at the same time, force the McLaren into making a mistake here. Possibly in turn 6, going to have a mirror full of him going into this left-hander.
In the left-hander, they're going to go now back up through the NASCAR oval. This car will try to get a nice slipstream or a draft, if you will, and he'll see if he can set up a pass. This 44 car is going to make a look here. We've seen this car involved in this battle for, I think, P2 for a couple hours now, and we'll do that. Up here is P1. By the way, this is also starting to close in, Marty, so we're seeing a couple battles happening for the lead here at about 13 hours and 37 minutes to go.
Yeah, watching this battle here back up front here. This is for the overall lead. Remember, we were talking with Kai earlier on in the full course yelling that some grass is kicked up further back. That may affect the drive going into the corners because everyone will want to be on that straight. Gonna lose some grip temporarily, but now they're approaching the back markers. Ward's got a huge slipstream going through NASCAR 1 and 2. He'll get a run here going into Le Mans. Looking to the outside. Aragon trying to block. Big crossover off of NASCAR 2. They are door to door down the back chute at speeds of 315 kilometers an hour. Now who's going to break first? Near contact between Aragon and Ward. Sideways, Aragon plays it safe. Ward is now the new leader in the class, and Diaz starts to close in. 3 cars under a blanket here going into turn number 3. And we got told Aragon has a black flag as well at the same time. I'm not sure if it was for passing below the line or if there was avoidable contact or not. Regardless of, oh, you know, it may be. He may have had the 10X, which means you have to suffer a drive-through or a stop and go every 10X, and that's a rough break for Aragon, who gambled under the last full course yellow to try and get some lead and some time out front, and pays the price there. Ward now the new leader in the Wastegate 32 in class, and now Diaz has taken advantage in it in the BMW in second, and this has helped out Ward increase the lead a lot. And now let's see how they can maneuver their way here through GT traffic. Got a battle here for the lead in LMP2, Moncha and Brioso. Twin Turn versus Monarch going at it here. They're coming out of the International Horseshoe for right now. Taking a ride on board here with Brioso. And this could be something similar to what we see coming off the left-hander onto the oval. Looking at the telemetry here of Brioso. 250 here into the West Horseshoe. And just trying to hope that Moncla makes a mistake here. Ooh, not the best exit though that Brioso wanted. Now the slipstream here with the LMP2s. Remember, the aerodynamics on these cars not as enhanced as what we see with GTP. We can see there that Brioso not able to get that huge strap like we saw for a moment that Ward was able to get on Aragon. just maneuvering their way through the curves. Just got to make sure you don't make a mistake. And now you see Moncala about to get a draft here off the GT3 car. That being, they make their way past Chip Michaels in the Going Racing number 19.
You know, and as we look at that camera shot, Marty, all I can think about from that Monarch Racing team's perspective, the car in the back there, that sort of red and beige or red and tan colored car, you will. It doesn't feel like they want to pass, actually, as weird as it is to say. I know that's sort of the instinct of racing from an outside point of view, but they almost feel comfortable sitting back there and drafting and maybe saving a little fuel as this race goes on. It didn't feel like they were in any eagerness to pass that prototype in front of them.
Yeah, could be using less, could be going later on the throttle at the same time, maybe as well waiting later to upshift into their gears, possibly could try to help out with the economy run, perhaps trying to get maybe an extra tenth of a gallon or an extra maybe lap or so before the next pit stop. So again, going back to GTP, Selena Ward now the leader, making a pass on Samuel Argon in the Le Mans chicane, and then Ward cutting through, suffering a drive-through for penalty points after they went too wide, and now this is going to get interesting for the leaders. They're 3 wide. Diaz trying to go longer way around here with a horseshoe, Derek.
Whoa.
Heavy lap traffic.
Dude, in a league where, in a race where every 10 incident points is a drive-through, if you're bold and brave and big enough, if you will, to make a move like that, you deserve the lead, in my opinion. My goodness.
Look at this, Diaz.
Horseshoe again.
Diaz trying to use the Corvette as a tow here. He's going to get into his advantage to the race lead, and Ward is not going to be pleased one bit with Adrian Alonso in the World of Sim Racing team ride. Meanwhile, for that, he and Martinez are battling for position there.
Wow, that was an amazing sequence, about 25 seconds there of a couple of sketchy but very positive results of passes has now put us a new lead here. That's the BMW M Team Racing with Andre Vito Diaz in the car, and he decided he was going to go for it. Look at him throw that car in the bus stop, but that car was a little bit sideways skewed there, and out they go. And now he's got a little bit, after this GT3, of clean traffic ahead.
Now we're going to get a tow here off of Diaz. He's not done in this battle just yet. They get cleanly here through the bulk of that traffic for right now. Still some cars that are going to be approaching here shortly, but Ward to close that gap in a little bit. Would have to assume as well the energy, the hybrid engine is in boost mode, basically, to say the least.
I'm willing to bet the mentality right now here is, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I think right now as they come back through traffic again, don't be surprised if that second place car decides to pull the exact same move as what happens to them.
Possibly. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. See Diaz flashing the lights, letting the LMP2 car know I'm approaching you. That's the number 51.
This is Westgate.
That's Avara Martinez. Actually, that's the GTP car correction.
Selena Ward, who I know we got interviewed earlier in the broadcast and got some words from them about their thoughts on the race so far, is now right there pulling that draft, staying to the bottom lane, just wanting to get with every iota, every ounce, every sniff, every oomph of draft they can. You're not going to make the pass here in the bus stop. There's too many cars on the outside, but you're going to try to set yourself up for a move at turn one. Wow, my goodness.
Yeah, we're going to lose a lot of time there, getting held up by Sola in the McLaren, also battling for a good spot here in class. Right now, if I'm Ward, just shake things off here at the moment. Diaz opened up the gap big time, going to break up that slipstream, and now you're just hoping that Diaz just gets messed up here. Just traffic is just, how am I going to compare this? Driving in GT3 traffic is like trying to find a lucky charm, basically. You're hoping to find a 4-leaf clover. Good things could come your way, bad things could come your way. You just never know, basically. This is a...
Good.
Now, go ahead.
It's like Jelly Bellies and what are the bad versions of Jelly Bellies?
Oh, yeah, the good bad versions.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, I'm glad I've done that. Yeah, bamboozled. Bean boozled. Bean boozled.
That's what I was thinking of when you were going through that analogy. But right now, a beautiful race happening here. Got a few GT3s in line, and all of them are really hoping for good flavors. No grass for them if that's okay. I won't mention others we're not allowed to per YouTube rules, but let's just say no grass.
Yeah, this is Alonso, Barbosa, Beaver, and Block all battling for 9th here in class. Coming out from the looks of the West Horseshoe, nope, that was the International Horseshoe. Nope, that was the West Horseshoe. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the trap is fast, by the way. It's important to say this is an iconic road course for any kind of like road course racing for IMSA or what have you, but it's a fast road course. I mean, right now our fastest lap today in a GTP, Marty, was 1 minute and 33 seconds. I mean, these laps happen fast. I think earlier I did the math. If this were to stay green, all 24 hours, the estimate is we would have done like 812 laps green across 24 hours. That is wildly unheard of compared to some other tracks we're going to visit both in VSCA and other race series this year.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at the quickest lap here. It comes from Lippy at a 1:33.44, and I'm trying to check here and see when that lap came. It came back on lap 204. Now, when you think of it as well, that may have come during the nighttime as well. Track is the coolest at the moment. If we're looking at the track temperature, it's currently at 21 degrees Celsius. You combine that along with the draft, the tire is a lot more grippier, be a lot more fast for the drivers when they're not in that back marker traffic.
Well, you mentioned that was on lap, I think, 204. We're currently working in lap 298, so that wasn't that long ago. That was maybe about 3 or 4 stints ago. So
yeah, so when you think of it too, that's probably just before the 11 o'clock hour in sim time. So it was during at night. The track's going to be the coolest though once we hit that overnight stint. Looking at the upcoming weather here, track wise, it looks like it should stay just about at 20 degrees Celsius over the next 2 hours or so.
Yep. You see right now on the track it's 21 degrees Celsius on the track, 20 in the air. It is now 12:24 a.m. virtual sim time on January the 10th. So this cool weather is going to stick around for a while, and you see right there has not been much fluctuation, Marty, in those temps, but there actually does become a point where the track almost gets too cold though, and that's when things can get a little bonkers, right? And apparently we've not hit that per the style of racing you and I are seeing here on the screen and on the track today. But any colder than this, and it would actually get so cold that it would kind of like flip over and it would become super slick because it's so cold.
Yeah, if it gets too cold for the tires, it can really mess you up, especially on an out lap. When the track's grippy, like cold tires like that, it's just gonna completely mess you up. While we were talking about it, we just had a change for 4th, by the way, in class for GTB. JD Daniel in the Porsche making his way past Mark Scherschel for that position. They've got a while back before catching the Ferrari of Benke running in the 3rd spot. That's the look here in NASCAR 3. They continue to work their way past some of the traffic at the moment, but now Scherschel trying to get that slipstream off of Daniel.
Yep, that's Albrecht Motorsports there. They're back in P5 running on along here. And something that I'm very happy to say, Marty, as we look up and down the classes here on the screen. And yeah, and I know the full course yellows sort of help produce this factor, but here we are, approaching a little less than 13.5 hours to go. Look at these gaps. I mean, I think 4 seconds is the biggest gap in any class right now. So all 4 classes are still up for contention. Multiple cars on the quote-unquote lead lap of their class at the 13-hour mark.
Hey, this is what you love about having a series with full course yellows, right? You get a lot more battles for position. If not, then you'd have drivers that would have to have like a lap or two to catch another car at times. That's basically hoping that the driver has an accident, has to tow their car, or has a really bad pit stop and is caught speeding on pit road or something like that. That's one of the benefits of having a full course yellow, which we've had 13 on the day so far.
Boy, what a day it is, by the way. If you're a fan of esports and sim racing or auto racing, you have the VSCA 24 Hours of Daytona happening. If you're a fan of real life sports, we're an NFL playoff weekend. No spoilers for those who may need to watch the games after the race, but you got all kinds of sports happening today. So this is a great day to kind of get tucked into your couch, to your man cave, to your wherever you are. Get one screen on Green Flag TV, one screen on just regular, whatever have you, YouTube TV, Sling, what have you, and just kind of veg out on sports today.
Yeah, don't forget we've got the Roar as well on iRacing, basically their first special event of 2026, about a week or two before the Daytona 24. Hang on there. Hold that thought there. I'll talk about in a moment. Albaga looking for, trying to hang on here to second in the class on Vaughn. A tight battle here between the BMW and the Mercedes. Just some super tight action there. Got a driver off track, meanwhile, behind him out of the West Horseshoe. That was Labe in the Aston Martin. No harm, no foul. We stay green. And actually, correction here. I'm sorry, Derek. This is for the lead in class here for GTD Pro. I'm sorry, for regular GTD.
Yes, it is. It definitely is right now, and that's Tamer Elbaga in the Westgate Racing 33, and they're under attack right now. There's a nice little drafting line happening. Who can benefit from it? Who takes advantage? Who lunges the bus stop? May help decide who gets the win here.
There's 5 cars under a blanket. There's also as well a Moncla, the leader in LMP2, approaching them. Luckily, it's in the NASCAR straights. If it happens in the infield, though, with the GTD leaders, it could get interesting, though. You don't want to obviously have contact take place, but you don't want to be you don't want to go too easy on the LMP2 car. But he should be aware that the top 2 are racing for only. Look at this big run here on the outside from Vaughn.
Yeah, big moment right now happening. He's not going to make the pass. He's going to try to set it up, though. And right now, a great move is happening here. And look at that. Again, that line, every time I think we could take that camera shot, Martin, that line is getting longer. So now it's kind of like a conga line back there.
Yeah, but now look at this. Moncla underneath on the BMW. Going to hinder the progress for just a moment. And with Albaga here coming out of the kink, he may be able to let him go here in the West Horseshoe. That's the case there. Now, how's this going to slow up the momentum? A bad exit there for Albaga. Vaughn has a chance to reel him in again.
Going to try again to see if he can make the move happen. And the problem now with making this move, Marty, it's kind of a one-shot deal, right? He's going to get one shot to really make the move, and it's either going to work or he's going to lose progress, not just making the pass. He may fall further down the field if this move doesn't go well.
Yeah, it may possibly. And remember, he's got DeSanto behind him in third, about 1 second back. Now, there is a back marker separating the battle for second in GTD, but you don't want to make a mistake, though, at this point. If you're Vaughn, you're focused on the leader, the Wastegate 33. Wastegate trying to win 2 classes right now at the moment. They're doing really well. Albaga currently leading in GTD, and then you got Ward running second in GTP.
Yeah, but that'd be great if you could have 2 wins in the same race. But there's a car outside. That's a prototype. They're going to go around just fine. There'll be no concerns here. As long as they're all clear before turn 1, and they're going to be. There's a car looking to the outside back in P2. Nothing's going to happen from it, I don't think.
I like the strategy there from Vaughn, trying to set up turn 1 going high. And he stays right there trying to seek a move. A risky block, though. And a shallow entry. This is good stuff. Very good stuff.
What I liked about that move from Vaughn, and now you said setting up a turn 1, but I liked it more, was that Vaughn pulled up and tried to see if they could suck any kind of, draft, a big draft per se, off of those prototypes. It just didn't happen, or it did happen, but just not enough to make that pass happen. So they're going to be under battle here again for a while. But a quick shout out, if we can, Marty, if we go up to GTPs for a second, to that number 55 car, that PAX Sim Sport car. You and I talked earlier about the full course yellows and the benefits of catching up and getting wave arounds and all the benefits. That car at one point today, 4 laps down.
What a recovery.
Now back on the lead lap.
JD, I would have to assume here, Derek, you know better than me, and same with Christian, our producer. He had to have been taking advantage of a couple yellows, staying out, getting a couple wave rounds at times, and being back on the lead lap.
But that's the benefit of doing a league like VSCA, because in official iRacing events like next week into 24, there is no caution, there is no full course yellow, there is no wave around process. You get 4 laps down, unless calamity happens ahead of you, you know, you're 4 laps down. But again, shout out to this team, that blue car, that very, very bold, like a not a royal blue, I don't know what we call that, like a, I don't know, a Blue Jays blue, I don't know, but regardless, it's in P4 back on the lead lap. My producer says Toy Story blue. I don't know. That might be right.
That looks like petty blue to me.
Fair enough. Welcome into Art Coloring Hour on Green Flag TV. No, it's Periwinkle.
Periwinkle.
Well, boy, they are right here on the back end of this 10 car. They are trying very hard to get P3, by the way. That is VIM 10, that car just up ahead.
We got one around as well with the International Horseshoe, that being Beaver. And the Unitronic Fisher Porsche gets things back straight. We stay under the green flag for now.
And right now, that's good to see. I got a little concerned when it went around, but he's able to get it, grab a gear and keep moving. So we'll stay green here as we're now approaching, about an hour of green flag racing almost on the clock here. So we'll see if we can maybe avoid some of those pesky yellow flags as the night goes on. You have to think as the night goes on, everybody gets experience and gets more comfortable. Let's watch, Marty, what happens in this car.
It was just slight contact there, or just got too much of the gas on corner exit on a low gear. It just freaked the car out around he went.
Battle, maybe?
Yeah, possibly. You know, I don't know the telemetry that Beaver had, but you know, in a horseshoe like that, it's very easy. I've done this too in the past, and it works for me. To downshift all the way down to first gear to try and pick up some revs on corner exit to get that drive you need. Maybe he was trying to go for too much there, possibly. I don't know.
And the flip side of that, some people really hate first gear, Marty. Some people believe first gear is like a danger zone. Some people believe first gear is almost guaranteeing a spin out. What's guaranteed, never mind, was almost guaranteed was a 3-wide move, but that prototype went down the pit road. I got excited for half a second right there.
Yeah, Beaver trying to fight back here now. Just makes you wonder how the tires, after that spin, went through the grass. Probably still has some he has to get off of it. And also, tires probably were screaming after that spin, not liking the grip.
Yeah, let's see. Whoa, look in the back, a little bit of particles of grass being thrown up in the air. Something a little different on that camera shot, but we're still riding along here with this 84 car. We have been for a while. And kind of watching this battle with this green and white machine, and see that they're proudly representing the German flag on the side of the car, so showing off their country pride. Riding along now with Ryan Huff here. This is the GTM, Marty the 75, and that very colorful blue and white with the red trim on it. Another bright spay. There's TeamSpeak. I didn't know that thing still existed. I mean, not the car. I know they exist, but I'm saying TeamSpeak itself. I thought that was a dead.
I feel old. I feel old.
Yeah.
This was before the. This was before the Discord revolution.
Apparently, by the way, I was told earlier, all kidding aside, still exists today in the ARMA community. I guess some features of Discord or of TeamSpeak, such as proximity chat, are still very useful in the ARMA community. So apparently, if you are an ARMA player or if you're get involved in that community, be prepared to go back a number of years and install TeamSpeak. And apparently 5M for GTA roleplay.
Yeah. 5M is nice, but there's nothing though like LSPDFR. Just saying.
So I'll tell you this.
Christian got it.
Here's something that'll confuse you. There's TeamSpeak 3 on their website.
Yep.
And then the new beta By the way, TeamSpeak 3's been out since like I was like a minor, I think. Not that long, but close enough. The new beta on the website is TeamSpeak 6.
So we went from TeamSpeak 3 to TeamSpeak 6. That doesn't make sense. What happened to 4 and 5?
I don't. I think 5 did exist for a while in beta. 5 was supposed to be basically a Discord clone. If that makes sense, they were gonna have channels, tech channels, sort of Discord-like, and I think it just never happened. But yeah, the new beta on the website is TeamSpeak 6.
So TeamSpeak 4 and TeamSpeak 5 are basically the Windows Vista of our generation?
I was gonna say the Windows Me of my generation, but yeah, absolutely.
That's a good one too.
That's a good one right there, yeah. So right now we're watching here with VSR Competition, and they're right now in P6 in the GT Pro, riding around here in a nice looking paint scheme. You know, something I'm kind of jealous of, Marty. I know as the sun comes back up, either for Nolan Rimple and his crew, or maybe for Howie Burrows in the overnight East Coast timestamps, when the sun comes up, those guys are going to get to see all these cool paint schemes. I mean, don't get me wrong, Daytona is pretty well, you know, has a lot of lights to it, so you can see them. But boy, I'm kind of jealous we don't get to see the full effects of all these paint schemes and all these spec mappings.
In real life, they reduce the power of the lighting system, the Musco lighting system at Daytona. They put them on emergency mode. So that way the big focus is on the headlights itself. So like you don't really get to see a lot of the scheme, except for the silhouette of the chassis, obviously the number which is in LEDs, and their position that they're in. So that's really all you get to see overnight.
Yeah, I think maybe you'll know better. I think the power percentage is 40% of the.
I believe so, because I remember in 2011 during a practice for the Clash at Daytona, the entire lighting system went out, but the emergency lighting system stayed on. So like we only got like 40% of the track lit.
Yeah, I do kind of remember that clip actually of seeing that happen and reminding that there. Here is Grow Racing Team Blue. By the way, that's Jorge Diaz in the car for the LMP2s, and he's having a nice solid run here. The Jorge is one of the cars in LMP2 that is still on the lead lap. He's getting, unfortunately, close to not being Marty at last time by about a minute 22 behind the leader. So the fastest LMP2 lap today is a 1:38.5. Last time by, they won 1:39s on average. So he's about 17 seconds from not being on the lead lap.
Yeah, Moncla's in the West Horseshoe right now, and Moncla, from what I've been seeing right now, he's just been dominant in that twin turn ride. Lead is at 11 seconds on Brioso. They were battling at 1 point for the lead. Moncla was able to pull away thanks to some traffic, but Moncla is just looking really fast on a good long run.
Good run is what's happening for all the teams here so far. We're still under green flag conditions here, happy along for the ride, and we're watching some great racing. We've seen some 2 wide, some 3 wide battles. We've seen some lunges in the corners. We've seen some moments that we thought maybe we're going to be cautious, but so far we're staying green here. Is now that purple car is getting used as like a, I guess it's like a rolling draft. Man, that purple car is a, I said there's some nice looking cars. That purple car looks hot. That is amazing.
That's as they like to say, that is definitely a beauty that Silva's got on his 87.
And I have to tell you, I get jealous when I see cars like that, Marty. I have many skills. I sometimes downplay them because it's more fun that way. But art, design, coloring, painting, not one of them. I was not a Check++ art student in elementary school. I was not a color between the lines kind of guy, if you know what I mean.
Oh, my minor at the time when I first went to college was in graphic design, and the basic art class they had, I dropped it like one weekend to not get a grade on it because the teacher was just too tough on me. I'm like, I'm doing this. What is it that you want from me? And I do it, and you don't get it, and you don't like it.
Yeah, I don't have it. I don't have that trait, that bug, whatever you want to call it. I can do many things. I can write out things for you. I can help word things for you. I can apparently commentate, according to some people. But painting is not one of them.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm good with, like, Photoshop and stuff, I'll admit. Photoshop's my strength. Other than anything else in art, unless it's video editing, not really.
No. Not even a little. Almost 13 hours on the clock. 13:09. We saw a little bit of grass kicked up there through the kink there in the infield of this road course. As we're riding on the line still with RTR, currently 9th in their class of GT Pro. And I believe that still puts them on the lead lap. It does. 27 seconds-ish behind the leader.
Got a couple prototypes coming on to pit road. Jorge Diaz won in the Grow Racing team, making a stop. JD Daniel also coming in his Porsche. I'm checking to see if any of them do some driver changes. Brioso staying in, making his way on the pit road for right now. Same with Nico Loikkanen in his BMW. The Porsche Pack SimSport team, they are making a change. Alan Paris to get behind the wheel, or Paris, excuse me, to get behind the wheel for the next stint. And same with the Dallara Monarch team. Nuno Ricardo will make his way onto the racetrack in just a couple moments. So it's starting to become pit stop time here for the prototypes. I don't know how long it's going to be until we see the GTs make their way into the pits.
Going to approach the halfway point of this race, Marty. What's going to have to become in focus really soon is your planning ahead. Obviously, you can't plan for the unknown, the full course yellows and the cautions, but you have to start thinking about, you know, how many pit stops do we have left? How do we cut the pit stop off of our cycle? Do we need to save fuel? Do I need to lift through X corner? Do I need to draft more? Am I good on fuel? Because, you know, heck, with as many laps as a prototype does, a GTP does around this track in a 24-hour race, if you could do one extra lap per stint the rest of the night, you could possibly cut a whole pit stop out of your race.
Oh, absolutely, without question. You may have a lot of pit stops planned, but by the end, if everyone makes one extra lap, you may have to make one less stop. So Selena Ward making his pit stop from second in the Ferrari. He'll give up the spot to Benke for now. Churchill also coming in his Cadillac. We'll see who they put in exchange of Ward, or if Ward decides to do a double stint.
And I think for most drivers, that is probably the minimum, right? Most drivers want to at least double stint a race. Very often, very rarely, do you ever talk to a driver who wants a single stint in endurance? Because usually just about the time, especially in a prototype, about the time you start to find your rhythm, your stint's over. That's just kind of your warm-up, right? That's just kind of like doing your little like aerobics or calisthenics when you go to the gym. Typically, most drivers want to double, triple, heck, some even want to quad stint a car. Now, the GT3s are different. Those are like 1 hour stints. Typically, a triple's the most you'll hear a GT3 driver want to do.
So taking a look here in the Albrecht Cadillac, Mike Stanicki to move in. The LMP2 lead. Watch the LMP2 battle pretty closely here. Actually, as I say, that won't be the case. Scarlett DeMarco coming in from second. They just put in the twin turn ride. Renee Stalcinos in the number 23. He'll stay in the race lead. And now we'll see Vitor Diaz in the BMW make his way into the pits after a successful stint. Remember, he took advantage of the lap traffic earlier on, that heavy GT traffic, to take the race lead. And now we'll just have to see who's got the better stop here and see if anyone comes in for Diaz.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. Right now, we're running on board with the third place car, the 44, in the GTD Pro. And we're going to come down here through the Le Mans chicane, or the bus stop, if you will. And, you know, Marty, I have to tell you that when we come to the real life 24, which is now about, I guess, a week away from today, come to think of it. Or no, 2 weeks from today, pardon me.
Yeah, let's get to the Chili Bowl first.
Yeah, sorry. Well, so that whole back straight where there's no grass anymore, I will be stunned if there's not some kind of like sponsorship on that pavement. I'm just saying out loud that is prime real estate for somebody.
Absolutely, and I hope you just didn't tell the people at Prime to put a sponsorship on that.
Maybe Prime Video.
Prime Video would be nice. I was thinking of the Prime drink. So,
Yeah,
all right, so they'll keep Vitor Diaz in for a double. Ward will move up to second here. Benke also going to do a double here. He's out with a slower pit stop of 40 seconds. Ward with the best stop was able to cut the gap down to 10.3 or so. But Vitor Diaz on colder tires for it. It'll take about a lap or so to warm up, and now he's in the GT traffic here The first driver he's approaching is Mayer in the Porsche. There's near contact in the horseshoe there.
Did he maybe get spooked? That car just sort of slid out. Oh, there's a car.
May
behind
have
that.
possibly.
Okay. That's what happened. There was a car behind. We couldn't tell from that car camera. That's maybe why he got spooked. I thought he got spooked by the car up ahead, but no, now I see that there was a prototype behind who was probably being a little impatient.
That was our overall leader. That was Diaz. So, got a challenge here for third coming up as well in this class in a moment. Paris approaching Benke. Now, Benke on fresher tires, but his tires still have to warm up. They're in the heavy traffic. Watch this 55 Porsche closely. They say, oh, look out, Benke sideways. Benke goes around from third in class.
Boy, that part of the track right there in the bus stop, that is, just in the past 1 hour you've been here, that's claimed, what, 3 victims?
It's so easy to hit the gas early in there because you're approaching one of the longest straights at Daytona. You want to get on the throttle, put that foot to the floorboard very quickly, but in these GTP cars you simply just can't, or that back end's going to go sideways. Watch Benke here coming off of the infield. Cold tires, also a factor in that too.
Factor in that as well. You know what, while we're watching all that, I do want to say there's also an amazing battle happening for GTM. So we're going to maybe get to that in a second as well and show that off. Marty, before classes of racing, it's so hard to keep up with everyone. But right now, this is that right there. Those 2 cars, Hoff and the car up ahead, are the cars that are fighting for 1 and 2. They're down through turns 1, almost side by side. And now they got some faster cars behind. This could pose a problem. Let's see who benefits or who doesn't. There's a pass attempted on the outside of the horseshoe. They're going to come through here, Marty, and they're both fighting as hard as they can.
Yeah, this is a great race between Hoff and Vaughn for the race lead. And again, this GTD class has been super exciting since the restart. Got to let that prototype go. Big run to the outside. Longer way, though, for Hoff. Not going to cut it, though. Gets back on the throttle first with a great corner exit. Was trying to diamond there in the West Horseshoe. Trying to use that to his advantage. So close. I'm going to draft, though, coming off at turn 5.
Doing a great job in that draft is what he's doing. So a good solid battle happening here in GTM. They're not done. The prototype's going to go to the outside. The prototype's going to lead them just to kind of fight on their own. Now, if you're that lead GTM car, you're kind of hoping that prototype pulls down and gives you that little bit of a sniff of a draft. But now down the back straight, that second place car is going to try it here, Marty. Does he lunge the bus stop?
He's going to set this up for the exit. Watch this.
Oh, not quite there.
Yeah, messed up that chicane in the center. We'll just have to try and reel him back in, go into turn number 1, but longest straightaway right here. Longest you have that throttle put down, and look at that gap cut down to a half a car length or so. The race is off for the lead in GTD.
And here it comes down the front straight. Again, that car is committed in second place to pull into the outside every time. He wants to have the outside run. It feels like he knows that leader's going to defend against sides. Up to the outside he goes. Down through turn 1, he's going to try to squeeze him in. Nope, got a little wide there. And
oh, the over-under, though. Almost thought he was going to go for it there, but
I did too.
Out in that left part of the racetrack. You just cannot go for the pass there one bit.
I thought he was going to try the over-under heading into turn 1. That was what I was waiting for. I was waiting for him to kind of dig it, lunge it into the bottom of turn 1, but luckily he did not, and they'll stay racing here. But look at this behind him, though. The more they're racing, now they've invited P3 into the conversation. So now there's 3 cars fighting for the lead in GTM.
Yeah, Ryan Huff making this a triple threat match, hoping the top 2 make a mistake. Hoff better be careful. Doesn't want to look at that rear view mirror one bit, Derek.
This is a reference for our wrestling fans. Would this be the 3 stages of hell?
Speaking of which, let's go Drew McIntyre.
Let's not go Drew McIntyre.
Hey, I had my Cody Rhodes shirt on yesterday, but Drew had to win that match.
Fair enough. Well, right now, a good old wrestling match, a brawl, a falls count anywhere affair is going on right now because they're still trying to make that pass happen. He's still trying it. Oh, I thought he almost bump drafted him into the bus stop, Marty.
I thought for a moment that Vaughn was about to get yeeted there into the Le Mans chicane.
Not the Uso style either.
Luckily, Very close call, though, for Hoff. Still able to get that slipstream. But luckily, though, because he was out braking, well, look, this is a great move to try and get that slipstream off the prototype for a half second. They're still going to be side by side.
Oh boy, this is going to get dangerous, Marty. That outside line, how hard you going to try to ride it? How close is he going to squeeze? When is he going to brake? All questions.
He's going to try and outbrake him right here. Oh, they stay side by side. Gotta let them go, though, because, again, like I said, you cannot pass in this area. You gotta stay single file. If you try to go side by side, you're just asking to get wrecked.
Yeah, he's doing his best right now, but now he's under attack on the outside from that TeamSpeak car. That TeamSpeak, who's also carrying the green colors of GTM, is trying to get involved in this battle. So again, I said it earlier, sometimes the downside to making a move is that, or was it, if you come at the king, you best not miss kind of mentality, because if you miss, you're not going to just have second place back. You may be back in third or fourth place before you get back in the groove. Against
that, Vaughn has actually been able to pull away a couple car lengths, and I don't even think that Hoff's going to get one bit of a slipstream. The gap at 0.8 of a second behind the leader, so that's huge.
Well, I think for the moment, maybe things have calmed down just a tick. I say that, and we're going to come down here, but I think now there's some gaps existing. There's some prototypes coming through. Oh boy, that white prototype in the back just kind of cut his way to the bus stop. But I think things for about at least 10 or 15 seconds are going to calm down here, Marty.
Yeah, that's Henke. Right into the back of the LMP2 class. He's had a tough race so far with his team, but just trying to rebound here at the moment and see what he can get. Hoping for a full course yellow, though. A longer one, I should mention. And now the GT cars are starting to pit. Now Charek now in the pits. If not, that was already a driver change. Block coming down pit road. Hoff already coming in. He'll give up his near top spot in the GTD class. And so now we're going to start to see all this traffic. Pit Boilard making his way down pit road, already on the pit road speed limit button. Hodison, Cunha, all in the pits. I'm just gonna wait to see when Leite and Vaughn come down pit road.
He's beginning now to kind of have some gaps. You're right on board with the LMP2 here. This is Francisco Silva with the RTR machine right behind that other prototype. And you know, I think for a lot of fans who are watching, Marty, the hardest thing to do in endurance racing is visually to tell the difference between the LMP2s and the GTPs. There are differences, but maybe comparing the prototypes to a GT3 versus, you know, prototype versus prototype, it's a little harder to pick out the differences in the two cars if you don't know what you're looking for. But we'll see if we can point out a couple as time goes on. The bodies are different, which you know here. This right now is the LMP2 we're looking at here, this purple car. And I think one of the ways you can pretty quickly tell typically is the back of the car. So that back of the car right there, there's some gaps there on this LMP2 that just don't exist in the GTP chassis. So we'll have to wait and see how this works out. Maybe we can show it to someone. But yeah, well, here's some pit stops. But there's GT3s now down. That's how long we've been green here, is the GT3s are down pit road, Marty.
Yeah, I've been watching this one closely on the GTD class. Top two making their way in, and Vaughn and Hoff can tell you as well. Nate Bogus making his way onto the racetrack in the McLaren.
The RTR machine still running along, that number 87 car. So there you see two different number boards. You'll see the 87, that's the car number. Then you'll see that little digital number marking. That's their position in class. Those, I remember those digital numbers existing for a few years now. And so that's a good way that you can always see as a fan what spot that that car is in.
Vaughn checking out for Chris Caddis in the BMW. And I don't think they're going to put Huff in the race car. They're going to change out Huff. It looks like the American's going to run a double stint here. I'm looking at the pit stops here properly. This race is on, and Caddis beats out Huff. Eventually the battle for the lead. So now I'm wondering here, can Huff get back into this rhythm? Chris Caddis starting off here at 100% energy and momentum, all ready to go. Maybe could open up a gap here possibly on Huff.
Yeah, possibly could open that gap. You're right. We'll see what happens as time goes on and how he can use that. But I think right now as we're watching this battle, Marty, we're watching a few different battles. And again, look at that ticker on the left side of your screen. I mean, we got a couple with some big gaps. We got about 1.5 seconds for GTPs. You got, now everything's kind of opened up though for the moment as pit stops are going on here. So we'll get back to that ticker in a second, but nothing is out of reach for a lot of drivers right now. But let's now check in with the driver from the car number 912. That's the Frida Sport, and it's the driver out of Rockwood, Ontario, Canada. We're going to welcome in Logan Geisbrecht into the Green Flag TV broadcast booth. Logan, first of all, I hope I got that right.
Close. No one ever gets it right. It's Giesbrecht, but it's hard to pronounce because it's changed over the years.
Fair enough. Well, first off, welcome into the broadcast booth with the 912. How is your day going and how's the race going?
Well, generally, it could be going a lot worse. We've been minimizing our incidents on track with other people and incidents, track limits, penalties. Unfortunately, it being a Porsche, I got a little too confident in the kink and hit the wall, but car's fine now, and obviously with the safety cars that we've been getting, we're still in it for a good finish, so that's really all that matters.
Well, you mentioned earlier maybe getting a little too into the kink earlier. Is it just being on the gas too long? Was it just a little too hard in the steering? What do you think happened to cause that car to spin out there that brought out our last yellow?
Well, it was mostly just being on the gas too long, and I was a little bit my line is a little bit narrow into the kink as well. It's my worst corner on the track, so yeah. When I hit the wall, thankfully I was able to angle it, so I didn't hit it square in the back, but yeah, it screwed the half shaft, so I had to stop on the track, and that caused a safety car.
Well, it's still lots of racing left to go. I think we're still just under 13 hours now of racing left on the clock here. When's the next time you get in the car?
I believe it'll be about 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so that's fun.
So what, 6 hours from now, roughly?
About 6 hours, yeah.
All right. So talk to me a little bit about this race. I mean, right now, we kind of hinted at the yellows. We're, I think, at 13 for the day so far, as we're now a good number of hours into this race. How does that affect you guys as a team? How does it affect your planning? How does it affect your scheduling? Did you guys anticipate that many? What does that look like for you?
Well, first of all, first of all, the guys that I'm racing with on Frida Sport, we all come from our own team, so we already know each other and we know how we work. So we're racing under the Frida banner, and we've never been in an endurance league with safety cars, so we certainly didn't plan for it. I'll say the stint plan has already gone in the garbage. It went in the garbage lap one, basically. It is completely skewed. I was supposed to be in the car at 1, I'm getting in the car at 3, so yeah. Safety cars definitely, especially the long safety cars, I don't even think we've really had a short safety car. The long safety cars take 20 minutes, so I mean it completely skews your stint plan, but it is fun. It's a good challenge.
Logan, let me ask this. I know you were just talking about the kink. I know in years past with the GT3 cars, it's pretty easy to go full throttle. What do you feel, and maybe not just the setup, but maybe in the iRacing sim itself, what do you think has changed in that situation? Could it be the tires possibly? Could it be the way the car drives, or what do you feel has changed?
I think it's certainly for one, most importantly, the tire model, but also we run the Porsche, and it being a rear-engine car, I know I watched the bit on the broadcast, because there's so much weight on the back. Normally in a mid-engine car or front-engine car, you'd be able to save that, but when I got maybe 35 degrees sideways, it's just lock it down, because the rear end effectively becomes a pendulum. And I know in years past it's been a little bit different, but with these recent physics changes in the GT3s and the tire physics changes, it was just impossible. Once it goes around, you're along for the ride. I can't really speak for other GT3 cars, but for the Porsche especially, so much weight on the back, so much downforce on the back that it just becomes a pendulum. And honestly, I feel extremely lucky that I only hit the right rear.
Derek?
Well, I guess I'll end by asking you this: What's your outlook for the rest of this race? What's the plan? It's just kind of riding along. Are you trying to maybe save some laps to cut a pit stop out? What's left for your team here at Freedom Motorsport?
We just really have to keep our mentalities in check and never give up, and that's really what endurance racing is. It's why I enjoy it so much. Coming from more of like a shorter race sort of thing, I didn't really do endurance racing until last year, so I'm definitely enjoying this. You know, you get into the mentality and you just can't let anything affect you. And yeah, I love this and really happy to have found VSCA. I feel like it's going to be a good home for me in the future.
Awesome. Anyone you want to say hello to or give a shout out to?
Hello, Tane. Hello, Diego.
There you go. Well, listen, Logan, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for your time, and I'm sure we'll talk to you maybe in the winner's circle later. Who knows?
Hopefully, it's gonna take a miracle, but they can happen in 12 hours.
All right, that was Logan. We'll thank him for stopping by. And Marty, during that moment of interview, there was a couple of tight moments on track.
Yeah, I was taking a look at something here. Ryan had to let Caddis go here because of a time penalty. And so because of that, Huff back out in front here for right now at the moment. The gap at 1.7 seconds. That's the big change we see here in GTD. Other than that, I'm not seeing really too much at the moment. There is a race for third, though, in the GTD Pro class between Carrera and Johnston, side by side through the kink. Risky there from Johnston. Oh, man, I thought he caught the grass there for a moment. But Johnston moves up to third.
Nice pass by Johnson. Made the inside
Beautiful
work there through the horseshoe. That's the first of two horseshoes here. And now he'll ride along with that iRacing Today Motorsports machine in the GTD Pro category. And he just took P3. Well, here we are now riding along. Happy you're with us here on Green Flag TV. Thank you so much for hanging out here. Derek Watson and Marty Sakala with Christian Hill pushing the buttons. And still, I mean, heck, there's still a half a broadcast to go, guys. It's going to be a long night for some drivers, for some commentators, for some producers as this evening goes on, Marty. And that's just some people, that's the fun of endurance racing, is the time, the commitment. That's what Logan talked about. He said, hey, I never thought I'd enjoy endurance racing this much, but well, here I am.
Yeah, drivers need to put up. I see drivers putting 1 to 2 months into this just to be ready for this event. There's a lot going on, and just got an update here, by the way. Early development, Monarch Racing has been involved in a crash.
Yeah, it does
I believe
sound
that's
that
the
way,
99 team.
That is Nuno Ricardo in the LMP2, and right now they're sitting there in the moment. They're not at a tow-away zone, so this is
they're
in the moment.
This could bring out a yellow here. They are stuck in the road course section. This looks like just before the left-hander to come out of the racetrack, and it is. This may bring out a full course yellow here unless he tows it right back to the pits immediately.
He's not allowed to tow without permission, so he's going to have to wait.
Okay.
And I'm curious to see, maybe he's waiting to see if the field can go by, if he can kind of limp this thing around. I mean, it looks like I can't tell the car's moving for that.
There we go.
Oh, there it is. There's your caution. Caution is out on the track for the 14th time here at Daytona. So we'll wait and see. Maybe we'll back up the replay machines, Marty, and find the moment of contact, whether it be him spinning around. Missing a rear wing tells me he made contact with the back of the car with something. What does he need to
Probably
find
I'm gonna have to assume
it's a wall.
Rear end into the barrier, yeah. That's a tough break for Nuno. This was a car in LMP2 that was running in the top 3. At one point, we focused on him throughout. We focused on this team throughout the race, and here's a look at what happened. Oh, just a lot of traffic. Just didn't have a lot of room. It got held up all of the... No.
maybe got a little too eager on the gas through the inside of that corner and kind of got locked with another car, and a run around he went across the front bumper and ate that wall. Watch a different angle here. What's going to happen? He's going to come through the inside of that corner. He's going to get hooked up with his GT3, come across his front bumper, into the back wall he goes, and that rear wing is done for the day. That's a souvenir for someone outside of that wall, probably.
The entire rear end was gone. That's going to be a long repair time, without question. And speaking of long, we've been told here a long full course yellow here.
Yep.
So we'll be able to get some wave arounds here and see what happens on the next restart. Another look from Ricardo. This is the front of his ride.
Wow.
The front of the ride looks fine, but the back end just is totally demolished.
Yeah, and that car could not move. Apparently, they requested a tow, and that's part of the process of VSCA. You ask for the tow, and then you can tow, but it's going to bring out the pace car, the safety car, what have you, in that moment. Well, for the 14th time, we're under caution. About 12 hours and 45 minutes to go here. I can take a breath for a second and kind of relax and let things happen. While we're doing that, let's welcome in Samuel Hoff. He is the team manager for the SportsCar Racing team. Now, I have to tell you, Marty, as an Ohio native, I'm not sure I'm allowed to do this interview. I just saw Samuel says in his bio, he's from Clarkston, Michigan. I'm not sure this is going to go okay, but Samuel, regardless, welcome into the booth.
Hello, how you guys doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Oh, a little tired, but got that car driving well, so that's good.
So tell me, obviously you've been in and out in the car, you've had that driver's perspective from up here, for Marty and I. It looks just kind of at times like pure chaos down there. Is that what it feels like?
At times, for sure, when there's that gaggle of GT-AM cars all fighting with a few GT Pros in there, and then you've got a few prototypes coming through, it just becomes chaos, trying to find your way through, make sure you don't hit anyone, and trying to keep the car clean.
So tell everyone who maybe doesn't know, obviously your role for the SportsCar Racing team is a team manager. Walk people through what a team manager does.
So yeah, as a team manager, my goal is to organize 2 cars here with the 17 and the 4 car. Sadly, the 4 cars had a rough night. But anyways, it's to organize the 2 teams, get their drivers ready, plan stints, plan times for drivers to be spotting and be awake with one another to make sure we don't have anyone falling asleep throughout the night. And being ready and having my drivers prepared for anything and everything, whether it's rulebook related or driver related.
So how hard is that to manage that along with your own driving duties?
It can be pretty difficult, mainly because we're all adults over here and, you know, life gets in the way sometimes. So, like, Nate, who's in the car now, had a party today, and then he's got his daughter's birthday tomorrow. So he's got certain times he has to be in the car and out of the car, so we make sure we're trying to accommodate to him as well.
Geez, Nate, what's more important, your daughter's birthday or winning a 24? You know, you gotta make priorities in life.
Exactly, that's what I said.
Yeah, I've had those conversations before. I know exactly how those go. Well, here we are under safety car yet again, about a little more than half a race left. What is your predictions or anticipations for the next 12 hours?
A lot more yellow and a lot more chaos to come. I told my drivers, and Dylan, Thomas, and Nate, if you guys can give me a car at the final stint, I'll try and put it on the podium or the top step after how that last stint went from 3 laps down to battling for the lead right before pitting there, as you guys saw on the broadcast.
Yeah, that must feel good indeed. Marty, any questions for Samuel?
Well, Samuel, I hate to do this. By the way, if you're wondering on the football side, Samuel, I hate to do this. I just stalked on your Facebook page. He's a Lions fan, so I don't know if he's a fan of that other team.
That team up north? Yeah, let's not talk about it.
No, I'm not. Don't worry.
Okay,
I don't like
all
that
right.
blue. That school.
Okay.
Blue.
Are
I
you
like
green
the green one.
You're green and silver, green and white? Yeah, okay.
Green and
Yeah,
white.
see, there's 2 other Michigan schools on the FBS side, either Michigan State or Western Michigan, or heck, even Central Michigan. Who knows? So,
Eastern Michigan, yeah.
Yeah. So, Samuel, let me ask you this. You know, you guys were looking pretty good early on here. I guess the standard question I have for you is positives you've taken away so far.
Yeah, a lot of pace in this McLaren. Really been shocked by it. A lot of the testing we did, we kind of felt we were more in the middle of the field, maybe to the back half of the field, but a lot of the pace has shown up here in race trim. So being able to take that even throughout the season, knowing that maybe it's not the best single lap car, but come lap 15 or 16 in a run, we can start moving through these guys and getting through the field. Every race will be huge. It's just going to be getting the right setup in the car and getting the right drivers in it at the right times.
Derek?
So I think my last question is the most important question. The all kidding aside, we don't ask enough in sim racing. When are you going to bed?
I gotta still eat dinner. I haven't eaten dinner yet.
I
Probably
mean, it's
eat
not that late.
dinner,
What,
Eat
9:30?
dinner, get another hour in watching, and then probably head to bed. I'll probably be getting back up around 6 or 7 to, get back in this car. I got 6 hours left of drive time I've calculated, so maybe we'll get up even earlier and try and take advantage of all of it.
Well, I know I said that was the last question, but now I feel like the most important question is, what's for dinner, and did you bring any for Marty and I?
I did not, but I'm just gonna go make a bowl of pasta, and maybe I'll bring some to you guys once it's done.
Fair enough. That's all we need.
All
All
right,
right.
guys,
Well,
have
listen,
a good
it
one.
is a pleasure talking to you, Sam. Good luck in the rest of the race. And hey, maybe in 12 hours, you'll be up on that top step celebrating in the 24.
One can only hope and dream.
There you go. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
That is Samuel Hoff from the Superstar Racing Team. And it's funny when we do interviews, Marty, you can always tell like how someone's car is running or how they're feeling. The tone of their voice does so much, man. Whenever we bring someone who's having a good run like Samuel's team is, it's so positive, it's so kind of upbeat. Unfortunately, whenever you talk to someone who you can kind of tell they're disappointed in their day by sort of that dreary tone they carry along.
Here's the thing. I feel like this is just my opinion. This is an endurance race. It's a Daytona 24. I feel like it's more about having fun and just trying to make it to the finish. I know there's a lot of people, there's a lot of drivers that have had success these past few years. Their goal is to try to win this race. But I feel like for a majority of the field of the drivers, their goal, they want to just make it to the checkered flag. They don't want to call it quits at 23 hours. They want to take the checkered flag when they finish going twice around the clock.
All right, well, the first part of the VSCA safety car procedure is over. We're now into the part where we're getting pit stops done, wave arounds, and what have you. So we're going to continue our rounds of interviews here with a driver from PAX SimSport. We talked to them earlier about being 4 laps down, up to being involved in the battle for their position. JD Daniel, part of PAX SimSport, car 56. First off, congrats on that big gain from 4 laps down.
Yeah, thanks. It really was a full team effort. The guys at PAX, they have a never give up attitude, and they just showed it in spades. Like it was sure to it was frustrating to say the least. To be involved in stuff. But these guys, they're just so incredible, and we've nothing. They're not afraid of hard work.
So right now, I believe writing P3 overall under our 14th safety car. You want to give me a small glimpse what's ahead for your team? I don't know if I can ask. Are you pitting here? What's the plan?
You guys will see.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll be obvious. We're just gonna keep on clicking laps away, just trying to keep the car clean, keep our nose out of trouble. Like these guys, they are really awesome endurance teammates, and this is our first season in VSCA, and we're really excited to be here, and hopefully we can have some good results and have some fun along the way.
So tell everybody what PAX SimSport is. What is it about? How did you guys find each other? What does it represent? What is PAX SimSport?
PAX SimSport, it started out as a group of friends, and then through different leagues and communities that we were in, we just started picking up people, and we race against them. So you know how it is, like you don't want to race against your friends because you all kill each other on the track. So like, okay, why don't we all share the same car so we can dominate everyone else and not kill each other. So that's kind of how we all got together.
What does the PAX name mean?
It's just across sim racing. We've all come from different sim racing titles, and we also have an international crew for our full roster lineup. So it's just really covering everything. Like sim racing's not just one title. Like I started off in Forza, others started off on AC or ACC. So it's really just you know across the globe, across the plethora of sim racing. So yeah.
So I have a question for you. I'm not sure if you ever did this. I've heard in Forza, obviously Forza, as far as I know, does not have any kind of native endurance support.
It does not.
But I've heard of groups in Forza doing endurance racing, and they
Mhm.
do like spreadsheets, and like you don't know what spot you're in for like a few days. Is that true?
No, they actually have it pretty down packed. You
Okay.
know pretty much where you are like within like a couple hours. How the group that I did it with was Tora, and they did 2 hour sections for each part of the race, and they had spreadsheets for where each car finished and how much distance each car traveled. So they're able to keep pretty up to date on everything that was going on.
Gotcha. All right. Well, listen, it's a pleasure talking to you. First off, anyone you want to give a shout out to or say hello to?
Yeah, first of all, like thanks to my family for indulging the sim racing hobby that we all love and share. Thanks to all the guys at PAX, their never give up attitude and positive attitude. They pick me up when I get down, and vice versa. It's just really blessed to be with such an amazing community. And also thanks to you guys. Like your broadcasts are freaking awesome. You guys are killing it. Like
Thank you.
props to you guys. So thank you. And also obviously the admins for throwing all this together, doing all the admin work. It's a thankless job, and look at how big this event is.
I agree. Well, thank you for the compliment. Last question I asked, same time as the last interview, because it's an important sim racing question. When are you going to bed?
I'm actually going to bed right after this interview.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
My next alarm is scheduled for 2 a.m. Eastern.
Oh.
So we'll see how it goes.
Oh, good luck with that.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, JD. Well, listen, it's a pleasure talking, and thank you for your time, and we'll talk to you later.
Yeah, thank you guys. You all have a good one.
That is JD Daniel from PAX SimSport. And, Marty, that when you go into bed question, it sounds kind of funny to ask, but I mean, a lot of drivers really do push themselves stupidly hard during a 24, and it's not good for the mind, it's not good for the body. It's not good for you if you're in the car later. Yeah, everybody needs sleep. I know it's an unpopular opinion in endurance racing, but everybody needs sleep.
Yeah, I've been up since 5 a.m. this morning because I had to do the early news shift at the radio station where I work during the day. So I've been up since 5 a.m. And probably once I wrap up my time here tonight, I'm probably going to bed.
That makes sense. I could appreciate that.
And yes, I know the two main people of this network aren't here, but they're going to need an army to wake me up.
Oh no, we're not. You told us in advance when you want to be in bed, and we planned around it. And he's going to argue later when he gets on the microphone. But even our head Nolan Rempel is going to sleep at some point. He said
He's probably sleep texting right now or sleep eating.
He said I can argue right now. No, he's in here right now. He's going to be prepped. He's next up on commentary, and I think even producing after this 4-hour stint, I think, when we wrap up in an hour or so. So he'll sleep at some point, or I'll delete some spreadsheets, one of the two. And he knows how to make a spreadsheet, so he needs to be careful about
that. I can't make a spreadsheet either, so.
Fair enough. All right, well, we're here under caution, having some fun here. Happy or long here for the VSCA Maconi Setup Shop 24 hours. You know what? I might as well take the second here and just tell you about Maconi Setup Shop and thank them for sponsoring today's race. You know, when you want to be the best, you cannot settle for the rest. For everything and anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need. It's Maconi. With Maconi Setup Shop, they now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, and even event organization. With cars across all 4 license classes, they have what you need to hit the track with confidence. You can grab a subscription starting at only $8 a month, and you can save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions. And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, they are their setups, but it is your victories. Also want to say, if you're watching along, first off, if you're brand new to Green Flag TV, welcome in. We're happy you're here with us and getting to see the product we offer. You can also check out more about us at greenflagtv.tv. We just changed that recently, and I got to get a new habit of saying it correctly. www.greenflag.tv is the website. You can see what services we can offer you in your league if you are so curious. All right, well, lots have happened here. Marty, go ahead.
Yeah, approaching halfway in this race. Nerves maybe starting to go up. Now you know you're completely around the clock once. Now you just got to do it again another time and see what happens. If you're not in the best race right now, gives you a chance to reset and think, hey, we got a whole half to go. Let's catch back up. Hope for some more yellows to break out and try and get back into it.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair comment. Lots of stuff still to happen here under this safety car procedure. So we're going to hang out a little more, have some fun. I think in a moment that we might step aside and hit a small commercial break. You won't miss anything. We're going to go into commercial. We'll give about 2 minutes for commercial break and be back with you before anything happens here of relevance. Once again, Marty Sakala, Christian Hill, Derek Watson with you here on Green Flag TV. We'll be back in just a moment.
Rev TV brings the world of motorsports into your home with over 100 live race series such as MotoGP, IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, Extreme E, World Superbike, and the newly launched all-electric E1 series. From 2 wheels to 4, from land to sea, your destination is Rev TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
All right, welcome back here on Green Flag TV. Welcome in here. Derek Watson is next to Marty Sakala. We got Christian Hill pushing the buttons, making us look and sound good down in the production booth. And Marty, we're still under yellow after that GTP car could not get moving.
Yeah, again, that was for the Monarch Racing team, Nuno Ricardo, that went off there after contact with the GTD car. And yeah, slowing everything's up. Waiver rounds happening right now by race control at the moment to catch back up before we get back to ring. Would probably expect another couple more minutes here before the restart while they do that.
Well, you know, I know we talked about earlier, we can also talk a little bit about what's upcoming in the next few days here on Green Flag TV. I know we're seeing lots of new viewers today, lots of new subscribers to the channel. So let me tell you what's upcoming and some of the things to look out for the next 7 to 10 days on the channel. You know, we're broadcast over 19 leagues a month right now, Marty. We're packed full of racing action. So tomorrow, just after this 24 ends, about an hour and a half afterwards, Nolan Rimpo and Howie Burrows will take the GR86s with Pace over to the Watkins Glen International. They'll race there. Tomorrow night, Nolan's back again with Justin Prince, who started this broadcast for the High Tide Racing League at Pocono Raceway. Talk about long pace laps. That might equal what we're doing here. On Tuesday night, the OMSRL debuts their new season at the Daytona International Raceway. On Wednesday night, it's the Beer League. They'll have a mystery track that you'll find out when the broadcast begins. On Friday, the Zero Torque Racing League will be at the Nashville Super Speedway. On Saturday, the Sim Racing Association kicks off their IEL Truck Series at the Daytona International Raceway. And then next Tuesday, a brand new league debuts on Green Flag TV, Aspire. Now, that's another IMSA-style league, Marty. It's GTPs and GT3s only, as they will also be at the Daytona Road Course. So no matter what kind of racing you want to watch, oval or road, heck, almost every day of the week when we're at full bore, there's some kind of racing to be found on Green Flag TV.
I'm a big fan of that beer league series, man. It's so cool. You just don't know the track you're gonna be at. It's a random draw. You just never know. Heck, it could be a crazy track like you put them on a jumpy track.
They did that. They took the Pro 2 lights around last season a couple times. They took them to, I think the Hockenheim Ring might have been one of the tracks. I forget. I know I watched them, but we have 2 Mystery League tracks in the wintertime. We have Beer League, and then Premier Sim Racing has it as well. They've been doing some mystery tracks. In fact, Marty, last week, Premier Sim Racing, they took the new FIA cross cars over to the Phoenix Rallycross circuit. That was fun.
You know, since I got like 15 minutes left before I sign off here and switch things over to Nolan, I do want to say this before I go. I am hoping that iRacing adds one day, hopefully this season, the Aston Martin Valkyrie, the greatest sounding prototype in IMSA today. Yes, it is it's the prettiest sound ever in the world. I drive it on AMS2 from time to time. Oh my gosh. It just gives you Formula 1 2004 vibes.
Speaking of upcoming leagues, I got good news for you. I don't think I told you this yet. So you'll be back on the call for the Mid-Atlantic Racing Series in a couple weeks when they debut.
Yep.
And of course, they do the Choose Cone car. Last season, they were using the Beetle.
Yep.
Word has it, they're trying to find a bigger car to paint as a Choose Cone this season. So there'll be a bigger
Yeah, because
car
of how many people hit it.
Yeah, the Choose Cone will be bigger this season, so keep an eye out for that as well. That's a fun league. Lots of fun to be had all across Green Flag TV and the stuff that we do. Still under safety car. As Marty said, we're hopefully beginning to wrap it up here. We're letting some wave-bys happen. I think the pit stops have already happened as we're now looking here at Albrecht Motorsports. They're back in P3 with Steinke in the car here as they're all just kind of riding around here, just about to pass about 12 hours on the clock.
Yeah, we're starting to approach it here. It's getting to the halfway zone here in just a bit. And let's see what happens. I'm looking at the leaderboard here. We had a bunch of drivers pit a couple laps ago. You know, we just had the PAX team, PAX Sim Sport manager in moments ago, and Alan Paris will be out in front here on this restart for GTP. Behind them, we got Francisco Silva, the leader in LMP2. GTB will be Nicolas Soleil in the Two-Lemmer Tree team in their McLaren. Then GTD Pro will be Scott McGarvey in the AMG.
Well, as you begin to wrap up your couple hours in the booth here, Marty, I'm going to ask you what has stood out to you so far and what are your expectations for the next 12 hours?
I think what stood out to me is, you know, the full course racing has just made racing a lot more exciting than, you know, you typically see on iRacing. I think what I could expect in the second half, maybe a little bit more patience, I guess you could say, from time to time. But I mean, you just don't know in sports car racing.
Sometimes asking a race car to be patient is like asking a dog not to bark. That's not always going to happen here. Well, let's get one more interview in before we go back to Green Flag Racing. Let's welcome in the competitor from Twin Turn SR, from the driver from Louisiana, and Lucas Moncia. Lucas, welcome into the Green Flag TV broadcast booth.
Hey, how's it going?
That's
Y'all
going
doing
great.
all right?
Yeah, we're doing great. How's it going then for your team there for Twin Turn?
It's good. It's good. Looks like we're down in P2, but I think effectively P1 on strategy, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, start of the race was kind of frustrating. I started the race for us, and I think I got a total of 7 laps of green flag racing with all the yellows. But hey, I mean, I guess that's endurance racing for you. But it was nice to get back in the car, and I had a little fun in traffic. I was able to get I think a 15-second gap to P2 before handing it off to Renee. I don't think he got quite as lucky in traffic as I did, but I think we're in a good position for sure.
So you mentioned you're only getting about 7 laps of green flag racing, and that's something I know all the commenters have kind of hit on throughout the day, is that topic of, as a driver, what do all these safety cars do to you on a mental scale? Is it frustrating? Is it exhausting? What is 1 or 2 words you'd use to describe it?
Both what you said, exhausting and frustrating, because my double stint, which should have been an hour and 20 minutes, turned into 2.5 hours of mostly running behind a safety car. So, and it's one thing to be, you know, kind of in the zone, locked in and racing, and it's another thing to, you know, just be aimlessly driving around. Feels like it takes way longer. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it is what it is. Like I said, we're still in a good position. A lot of competitors have been very unlucky and can't say the same for themselves. So hope the good luck continues for us.
So you said right now you're P2, obviously in the LMP2 class in the 23 car, and you feel as though based upon strategy you're probably P1. Is that just from how you've estimated pit stops to go the rest of the race?
Yeah, I think we've been way better on fuel than the competitors. Obviously, without all the yellow flags, that fuel strategy would get larger and larger. Because I think when I came in, we had a 2-lap buffer on fuel compared to P2 at the time, and Renee's also really good on fuel as well, on his fuel save stint. So I think we've got really good pace even while we're fuel saving, because none of us are really, you know, pushing hard at the moment, just trying to keep it clean, keep it safe, without any incidents, but also stay consistent and quick.
Marty?
Yeah, I know you mentioned as well here, Lucas, that the strategy, you guys feel like you're in P1. Just had phenomenal speed as well in your last stint. What do you feel has been working better compared to your competitors? Is it just weaving through traffic? Is it just a setup that's meant for the long run like you just had? What's working out?
Our setup's pretty good on fuel and really good in a straight line on speed, so kind of hard to overtake even when someone gets a run on us. And like I said before, we're able to give get that fuel buffer to our competitors, while still having good pace at the same time. RTR, who's in first, they've showed great pace. Obviously, they hold the fastest lap of the race so far, so they've shown to be quick. So we'll see. But I think we're still looking to be in a pretty good spot here.
Eric?
I think we're about good. Lucas, listen, I appreciate you stopping by. I have a couple last questions. First off, who do you want to give a shout out to or thank you to?
My teammates, they've all done a really good job. Dominic, Victor, you know, Ryan is yet to go in, but he will. Renee, they've all done a fantastic job. So yeah.
Cool. And we've asked this question to the past few interviews. I think it's an important question for sim racing. When are you going to bed?
It's still a question mark.
That's the answer I've been waiting for, by the way. Sure. That's the answer I've been waiting for.
Yeah. So maybe not. So we'll see.
All right. Well, listen, it was a pleasure talking to you. Good luck to you guys out in the LMP2 category, and maybe in about 12 hours from now, you'll be celebrating a victory in the 24.
Yeah, hope so. Thanks, guys.
That is Lucas there, and from the twin turn team there, Marty, and that's the answer I've been waiting for, by the way, is maybe I'm not going to bed. That seems to be the mentality of a lot of endurance racers.
Hey, sometimes you'll stay up for the entire 24. Hey, whenever I watch TV, I'll try and stay up as late as possible with Peacock on the TV and just sleep in the next morning with a couple hours left to go.
Fair enough. There you go. Well, we are beginning the wave around process. We can hear in our ears some of the instructions being given by race control to get drivers in the correct line. What happens here is that they're going to put everybody in line by class. And actually, we got an explanation earlier about all the yellows. 1 second, I'll try to find. I'll read it verbatim here. You got lost in a whole bunch of hockey talk amongst the staff, so give me a second here.
Go Sabres, by the way.
Apparently I said something sacrilegious.
13 of the last 14. Whoop, whoop.
So the way the full course yellows are designed are for people to get back into the race with the full course yellows. The third wave by gives anyone a lap down a wave by. So every full course yellow, if you are a lap down, you will get a lap back. So over the course of the race, with the full course yellows, you'll be able to be back on the lead lap, hopefully. In previous years, there's been some teams who were 3, 4, or 5 laps down to come back and be in the podium or win. So that came from Kyle Burney. He left that explanation for us after his interview to kind of explain to us how that works. So yeah, apparently I upset the crew earlier right when we went to commercial. I might have said hockey is not a real sport, and the peasants revolted inside the staff chat. You have no idea what happened. It wasn't pretty.
Yeah, it was. We'll just say the least. It's basically the equivalent of a 5-on-3 in hockey.
It was like it's trying to get people to decide what to order for dinner and how they all came together to argue one point. It was kind of impressive. It was kind of a team bonding moment for Green Flag TV, if you don't mind. All right, well, speaking of bonding moments, we're hoping not to have any cars get bonded together and make contact once this happens. I'd love to see a long run, Marty. I think our longest run so far of a green flag is only a couple hours without a safety car involved. How great it would be if we could get through a long stint, a couple set to pit stops before our next full course yellow.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I'm glad to see that, we had basically everyone have a pit stop under the green flag. So I hope we have that again. Short runs aren't, not a lot of people love short runs for tender tape because they want to go racing.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, well, let's do this now. I think we're probably at a point where we go yellow. We're going to make the commentators swap. And Marty, again, you've done great. Thank you for your time. We'll see you soon on Green Flag TV. Any last thoughts?
May the best teams win. I guess you can say that the least. It's been fun. It's been fun to watch these 2 hours, and I can't wait to see the results once the clock goes around the circle again.
Sadly, I have to replace you with an uncultured man.
Yeah.
Who's never seen Shrek 2. Nolan Rimple, welcome into the Green Flag TV. You're broadcast booth, I guess, technically, but it doesn't stop me from mocking you for not seeing Shrek 2.
Yeah, that's right. Don't forget who owns this broadcast booth.
Yeah, indeed.
So fast.
Nolan, have fun. I'll give you the link.
Fair enough. All right, Marty, thanks for your time.
See what I have to put up with here?
It's a lot, isn't it?
Workable conditions, I swear.
Not unworkable.
You just don't know what's going to happen. We try to keep ourselves amused, Nolan, for 24 hours.
I had to do this when I was the sole producer of the 2024 race. I understand the pain. Let me tell you what, 3 a.m. room temperature Pizza Hut just hits different when it's been sitting there for 14 hours.
Yeah.
So, all right, you guys have fun, all right? Enjoy the race.
Thanks, Marty.
See you guys.
All right, Nolan, well, here we are, about 12 hours to go, 12 hours and I think 11 minutes on the clock here. We're getting pretty close to our next restart here after being, I think, now our 14th full course yellow of the day. What do you anticipate on this restart?
Well, it kind of depends. I mean, obviously, a lot of the restarts so far, we've tended to lead from one caution into a pretty quick one in succession. But, from what I've understood, checking in every now and again, the restarts have been able to be quite orderly as of late. So I have faith that drivers are going to be able to get the hammer down and get back to it pretty quickly. Of course, the big problem, as always, is, of course, cold tires. It is a consistent problem that has been plaguing drivers so far on these restarts. But I'm sure that before too long, drivers will be able to figure things out. But, that ban on tire warming as a result of what happened during the roar, it's proven to catch a couple drivers out throughout the course of the afternoon so far.
Well, it's funny you say that. I kind of hadn't really think about that yet, but this is probably a good news for those GTP drivers for that iRacing update on Monday, where it really, it decrease the amount of time needed to warm these tires because even though they can't tire warm and they can't leave after what had to have been 5 or 6 different spins during the roar under caution due to that process, at least now this new iRacing update will give them the benefit of a little faster tire warming, a little easier tires to drive on those GTPs.
Well, the tire temperatures with the GTPs has been a constant point of discussion throughout the course of the afternoon, and we heard as well, even during the daytime stints, about how some of the GT drivers, some of them were pushing a triple stint on some of those tires. One team that had confirmed they had gone a third stint, and those tires started to go by the end of it. Now, with it being the nighttime now, something tells me that those tires may be coming back to them in a triple stint. If you're in one of the GT cars, could be a little bit more viable if you want to shave down some time in pit road.
It's funny, this was a talk earlier in the YouTube chat amongst some of the drivers, while I think you and I think either Justin Prince or Joe LaCastro were in the booth about stints, and it's really an interesting topic, because for a lot of drivers with the new regulations in iRacing, now they can take gas and tires together. And, I think it was you and Joe who had to talk earlier about the what-ifs involving, could there be tire limits and would that be fun? A lot of drivers just change the tires every time because it takes less time to change the tires than it does to fuel the car. Now, that said, I am all for, I'm going to go back like 10 hours of conversation, probably, roughly. I'm all for tire limits. I think that needs to be a thing both in league racing and official like iRacing events for the 24s. I think that'll spice things up a little bit.
Now, of course, you bring up the discussion of the fact that tires take less time to change than fueling up. And while, yes, that is true, the big reason why, before this new tire update, the reason why it was such a huge issue for a lot of contenders here was, of course, because it took so long to get heat back in the tires that it wasn't worth going for the tire change unless they were really wearing down. That problem has been more or less rectified with this newer update, which is why it becomes a little bit more worth it, especially for the prototypes to take tires every single stop. A green flag is back in the air here, Derek, and it is Alex Perez with Pack SimSport crew to lead us back into turn number 1.
Turn 1 we go. And this is the one thing in these restarts that has been mostly calm, although there's a battle right here for second and third. It's taken drivers a little bit of time to usually get a little antsy in these lines. You see the kind of the conga line of GTPs here moving along, and you'll see a little bit of weaving back and forth, but for the most part, everyone's content for the first lap or two just to kind of ride along, and then we'll make our moves.
Right now, Alan Perez continuing to lead the way here so far. You jump a little bit further back, though. This is the fight for third place now. Mike Stanecke for the Albrecht Motorsports, number 96, trying to fight it out with Sergey Lazaire from VSR Competizione Bianco. Deeper in the pack, trying to cut through into turn 6 and finding their way back onto turn 7 at NASCAR 1. And only 12 hours, just over 12 hours of racing are left, and hard to believe, like you said, Derek, that we're already about halfway home.
Yeah, this has gone pretty quick. Sometimes when you have races like this, as just a commentator, I don't know what the difference is. Sometimes you do endurance racing and it kind of feels like time just kind of moves at half speed, but heck, I'm already 3+ hours in and it doesn't feel that long. So it's been a pretty fun time, lots of great racing, and there might be a move here. No, okay, never mind. I thought maybe from behind that purple car we were going to see a lunge, but I think everyone kind of backed out of it and thought better of it from the LMP2s here. So that's your second class, and of course then there's still the 2 GT classes in the back that are also still fighting around, and this is going to be LMP2s again. Here's an attempted pass on the outside. Nope, he backed out of it.
A little bit of a back out there is trying to make the over-under down into turn number 1 as well. And now here we go once again around the outside here for William Alcala for the twin-turn SR by Rebecca Board. I mean, look at this run around the top side. Gets by Fury SimSport, but can't mount a charge on V1M, and all of a sudden, Dylan Babcock fighting back through turn 2 at the S's, but he's not going to be able to clear him into the International Horseshoe. And William Alcala trying to fight this one out, and we got problems right behind them as the flight level racing number 757 has gone off the road at the International Horseshoe.
Yeah, all is good. I think we're going to get things moving again, so no full course yellow. There's that blinking the headlights. I know I talked with, I think, Finn at Genie a couple hours ago about that being sort of the universal language of road course racing, right? And it means different things to different people. So when he blinked his lights, he could have been saying thank you. He could have been complaining about a pass. He could have been saying who knows what by blinking those headlights. Up front in the GTPs,
Bit of a change in positions here as Sergio Lazer has managed to complete the pass on Douglas Souza from BMW M Team Racing. All the while, they remain single file, but a tightly condensed GTP field. But this is a battle that could break up quite significantly if they can't get it settled before they approach the back of the GT field.
This is GTP Pros. Or GTD Pros, pardon me. We're gonna jump back to is the battle for P4 happened. That's Timothy Johnston in the iRacing Today Motorsports car. He is trying to run down the car up ahead, which is the Epic car, the number 73 car, and trying to see what he can make happen. But unfortunately, as he wants to make those moves, Nolan, there's a car right behind him who's also looking to get involved in that battle.
The GT Pro fights have been one to watch throughout the course of the afternoon. It's been a significant point of contention, and Epic Vance Pulsar Esports team, they've been up and down throughout the order today, but still showing confidence that they can fight their way to the point. Same story though for iRacing Today Motorsports. Timothy Johnston round the outside into turn number 1, and a big pinch there from Bruno Carrera. Carrera squeezes out Johnston on the right-hand side of the racetrack and then keeps that defensive line into turn 3. A bold defense move there from one Aston Martin to another, while Vincent Lherbier for SimCity Racing, a driver that was at one point battling for the lead in the GT Pro field, still sitting back in number 4.
And honestly, that's an ideal position to be sitting in right now with just about 12 hours to go. If you're sitting P4 with 12 hours to go, you're essentially still battling for the lead, in my opinion. It's going to be fine. He's got to have a little patience here. And that's maybe the biggest key of endurance racing we don't often get to talk about is patience, patience, and patience. If you're willing to be patient and let things happen around you, oftentimes you will find your way to the run. There's a prototype going on by, and boy, if a picture's not worth 1,000 words, Nolan, how fast of a difference of prototypes versus GTDs was on display right there in that frame.
Right now, Bruno Carrera continued to fight this one out here, and iRacing Today Motorsports VSCA still mired middle of this field, and it almost feels like Epic Vance Pulsar Esports team kind of holding up the GT Pro field behind him. I mean, you got guys ahead of the fight here of Bruno Carrera who are starting to pull away. I mean, you're talking a 5-second gap up to Christian Malcherik. But meanwhile, look at how many pro cars are stacked up behind that number 73 Aston Martin.
Yeah, this is becoming quite the line, isn't it? Just quite the line. And what's going to happen is someone in this line could possibly get a big run, right? If you get back there 4th or 5th in line and you just kind of keep riding the draft, as we now see a battle happening with a 73 car to the inside. But if you can ride this draft, and this is the scary part, oh gosh, this is super scary. Look at that. Going through the kink right there, or through the S's, we don't call it right there, that should never be a side-by-side move.
Well, they did it the lap before, and they're going to do it a lap again here as Timothy Johnston battles his way through, and he will pick up the 3rd place spot in GT Pro. Christian Malcherik Christian Malcherik up the road, and oh man, look out as Johnston shoved wide by Bruno Carrera into the West Horseshoe that time through, and talk about a how do you do. Now Carrera's on defense again from Vincent Lherbier.
Wow, it's getting aggressive, and this is sort of the one challenge of full course yellows and safety cars and all that process, right? Is that when we do go green, you feel the need and the urge and the desire to be aggressive because you want to make a spot up before the next one happens, and you make these kind of moves that aren't really maybe smart or ideal. And hold on, we're gonna be speaking of not smart. We're gonna be too wide to the bus stop if we're not careful here. This may go bad. Oh, they're going to single file it out. Okay, I thought for sure they were going to try it. Oh my gosh, too wide, and that car just got more airtime than a Skateboard DX games going to the bus stop there.
We have seen before, Derek, drivers that have found themselves going side by side into the chicane, but not through it. No one has been bold enough to try it yet, and for very, very good reason. Right behind these guys, Jose Barbosa for Rick Team Racing around the outside of Carrera, and that Aston Martin about to fall yet another position and breaking early for Carrera. And I think it's pretty clear here that that number 73 is playing risk management right now.
And I think it's important if there's someone else in that 73 team right now besides the driver in their Discord or however they're communicating to talk him down a little bit. Now it's time to say, okay, dude, listen, I know you wanted that spot. I know you were eager. I know, that we want to race here, but it's time to calm down. It's time to breathe because we can't win the race if there's not a car left to finish with. And if you keep going too wide through the kinks, if you keep going too wide through the S's, if you keep going too wide through the bus stops, odds are at a certain point, that's going to stop working out.
The GT Pro battle showing signs that it is going absolutely nowhere here this afternoon. You look a little bit further down the road. This is Block Motore for Lennart Block, currently running in that 183. A lot of drivers started to enter that proverbial graveyard shift as we continue the race into the darkness here at Daytona National Speedway. And Derek, it's official. We're halfway home. 12 hours down, 12 to go.
Like we're living on a prayer, buddy. We're halfway there. And there we go. That was for the YouTube chat. They've been begging for that for about 15 minutes now, so I had to fulfill that. Nolan, do you want to sing it for us?
I like channel monetization personally. I'm not tempting fate with content ID on this one.
I think our producer said he'd leave, so I thought Christian just said in my ears. So maybe you don't want to do that.
I'm ready to go.
Oh, he'll pay for it. Oh, super chat incoming. Super chat incoming. Is that still a thing on YouTube?
It is. It is. Yeah, it's still a thing.
Okay. No one knows about it, but it's still a thing.
You see it so rarely, right? I mean,
it's the old age-old question. Does super chat still exist, but no one uses it? Is it really still a thing? It's like if a tree falls in the woods and no one hears it kind of conversation, you know?
If a GTP car ran over a GTM, no one cars were around, did it really happen?
If a GTP car hit a wall in the first hour of the race, boy, that is wild. By the way, if those haven't seen it, we should put a link in the chat for the short that I think you or Dustin made. The unfortunate accident in the first hour where that GTP got his throttle stuck.
Oh my goodness!
And slammed the wall in the horseshoe. I've seen that a few times now, and it's no less scary the fourth time than it was the first time.
It's one of the most violent road racing accidents I think I've ever seen in terms of hard hits, right? I mean, you rarely see a stuck throttle. It's one of the most sickening feelings you can feel as a racing driver. Even more so, right? And that is what has caused Aris Racing to be so far the lone car that is out of this race all the way back on just lap 33 of this event. We are currently working at lap 342.
And that may be the most amazing stat of all, by the way, is that here we are, all kidding aside, halfway through the race. We're now into almost into the countdown phase versus the count up phase, and we have one retirement. Like that might honestly be the most amazing stat for a 24-hour race. I can guarantee you, I've never seen that before. That's just unheard of. I mean, you've covered 24s before. Do you remember getting to the halfway point, only having one retirement? That's got to be a really weird stat.
I think even in the 2024 version of this race, we still had, 4 or 5 cars out of the race at that point in time. Now, again, part of that is because, right, you get the full course yellows that VSCA offers. You also get a couple chances for wave rounds during these periods as well, right, Derek? And it's those periods that keep drivers in the race because they can get laps back, they can get out here and keep fighting. There's actually a reason now to stay in the race if you crash out, unlike the official 24s where if you crash, that's it. You're done. Game over. There's no point in sticking around anymore.
Well, that's debatable, but yeah, I understand what you're going for. I mean, heck, a very valid, proof of that is that car up ahead, that blue car in Pack Sim Sport we saw on the camera shot a second ago. Remember, they were 4 laps down not too long ago, and here they are now. According to my ticker, they're still highly involved in their own battles. They're still trying to win this race, and on the lead lap is the most important thing to say. So. Pack Sim Sports doing an awesome job coming back from 4 laps down. So, I mean, think about that right now. As I look at my ticker board, Nolan, there are, 6 GTPs on the lead lap. There are 7 LMP2s on the lead lap, and there's a plethora of GT3s, both Pro and Am combined, on the lead lap. Here, 12 hours to go.
Battle for second in GTP as Pax Simsports Alan Perez fighting that with Mario Cappellucci. So the fight for second is on as they cut their way to the back end of GT Pro traffic as V1M trying to run down Pax Simsport at the head of the field. Could GT Pro traffic, GTM traffic be a problem not into the braking zone? It's going to be more of a hazard here for Pax Simsport because there is an absolute mess of cars, at least 10 of them just up the road.
Yeah, there really is just a really big mess upcoming, and there's almost a bump from behind upcoming as well right there for Pax Simsport up.
That's why. Look at you saw Ferrari spun off the road right in the background of the shot here.
You see a car, a GT3, they're going to go around, so there's just a lot happening here on this track in this moment.
That was the look on board with Alan Perez here, and you can see all the GT traffic. I'll tell you what, Mario Cappellucci has been doing a phenomenal job on sticking close. Usually these are where a lot of the fights tend to break up, but it has only gotten closer as a result of this competition here. Cappellucci has been doing a stellar job on maintaining the gap.
I would agree with that. But I have a request for the, I don't know, who's has to be real life racing, but we got to start somewhere. Can we get a different name besides like GTPs and then GT Pros? Because my simple mind can't, like, it's GTP on both sides. I need something more obvious. Can I just say that?
Is now an adequate time to say skill issue?
I mean, I know LMDH is referred to technically by, I think it's WEC that uses LMDH, and technically it's a different classification of cars. Maybe we could do that, but maybe it's a skill issue. I'm just saying, like GTPs, GT Pros, like they're both GTP people. Like this is like when you have like that one endurance team that has like 9 teams all painted in the same paint scheme. So just saying, those things happen. But back on track, here's Pax Simsport. They're still having an amazing run here, and I continue to shout them out. We did an interview with one of their drivers earlier, and the way they've bounced back. But overall, this has just been an incredible run for a lot of teams. I mean, you have the teams up top. VSR is up there in the lead with Sergey up in the car. And I have to think by now, Nolan, you have to think almost everyone who's going to touch the car has probably touched the car at this point.
Just about, except for maybe some of the teams that have, the 6-man teams, right? I mean, those that have their 3 for one half and then they have 3 for the other half for that classic overnight portion of the race as well. But, Pax Simsport, I'm not surprised to see them up towards the front. They were one of the big heavy hitters throughout the roar. They were one of the heavy hitters in the opening hours of this race as well. So to see them still running here up at the front despite having those struggles and having to kind of bounce back a little bit, not too surprised. I mean, this is a team that has proven their worth time and time again, and they could very well be one to watch this afternoon, as well as this fight for second and for the lead in GT Pro. As Nicholas Solver, Telemetry Racing, fighting that out with Matco Fisher Motorsports is Christian Malcherik into turn 1.
Yeah, here we go, side by side. Is he going to dig it in there? He is. He's going to make it stick on the inside. He'll have the advantage through the first part of the chicane, and the green car will back off. No, they won't. They'll be side by side again. This is happening a little too often for my personal taste, and now into this horseshoe. That green car has the advantage. He'll take the spot, and he'll clear, and that is a pass.
And it caused a bit of a mess in GTP as well. As you can see, a lot of the GTP traffic trying to cut their way through this fight. And this is part of that multi-class drama that has reared its head time after time again today.
Yeah, it has. We've seen it multiple times where there's that GT Pro, that GTD, or GTPs. I know I'm lost. That's trying to get multiple times a day. The GTP category has had that lead decreased basically to nothing because of weaving in and out of GT3 traffic. Maybe I'll stick to GT3s. Maybe that's easier. Can I get a flash card?
I don't think we have flashcards.
Can we buy those? Are those in the budget somewhere?
No. Fun enough, they are not.
Wow, what a surprise. Anything I want's not in the budget.
Well, we blow it all on spreadsheet making.
Yeah, apparently we don't. Just saying, my paycheck doesn't reflect that. I think we blow it on 3 a.m. Pizza Hut pizza is what I'm hearing if we blow it on.
Now, that wouldn't be too bad. I wouldn't complain about some pizza. I got some pizza waiting for me once I've done my production shift tonight.
Nice. We've had talks about your eating habits before. I'm just gonna guess it's just, oh gosh, knowing you, it might just be a cheese pizza.
Shockingly, no, it is not just the cheese pizza.
Is it pepperoni?
Yes, yes, it is.
Nothing else.
Nothing else, just pepperoni.
No, what a surprise. No mushrooms, no onions, no sausage, no nothing.
No, not my thing.
Fair enough. How long are we live? Ask the YouTube chat. We'll be live for all 24 hours. The YouTube feeds are 4 hours apiece. This feed will roll you over to the next one in about 45 minutes from now. But we're going to be flag to flag. You're not going to miss anything here in the Maconi Setup Shop VSCA 24 hours at Daytona. Nolan Rimple and Sky Shrek are next on the board when mine and Christian's stint is done, and then Howie Burrows comes in. They get the overnight crew. I think Lucas Moody will be here, Scott Rankin, I think Brad Daniels will be in the overnight crew. That's when things get a little rowdy, supposedly. I'm in bed by then. I'm an old guy, but I've heard things get rowdy around that time.
They certainly can. We're missing the fun stints, the overnight stints, especially when Lucas Moody is jumping in here. Lucas Moody is our overnight savior here on Green Flag TV, right? Jumping in to run the overnight stints. I was surprised. I was thinking it was going to be, the traditional all-European or all-Australian team for our overnight stints, but no, Lucas Moody, a commentator that we usually see, on Friday nights, on Saturday nights. He's been making some more appearances on the roadside lately, and he's going to be jumping over to take coverage into the early hours of the morning.
Yeah, the Ball State native lives out near Ball State, goes to Ball State. Competitive Overwatch player will be here hanging out with us, and it's kind of funny. We're really starting to dabble into that whole competitive shooters category. We have a new commentator, Jacob Kohler, who'll be debuting his first full show on Tuesday. He's a competitive Counter-Strike player and caster, so we're starting to kind of dabble into that esports community a little bit, aren't we?
So what I'm hearing is the next step on Green Flag TV is Mario Kart broadcasting.
Oh, I'm so down.
Do you know how fun that would be? That would be amazing. That would be absolutely stellar to watch.
Here, so we're going to come back to that topic in a second. I think we've had a big off track we're going to take a look at. Monarch Racing has a meatball flag. That means they have some big damage, and that's going to need to be addressed. And you're better at this than I am, but that looks like a tow zone.
It is actually not, because it is on the outside of 2 individual turns. That's on the outside of turns 1 and 6. There is no marshals posted up there and no safety because I can get to them.
Fair enough. We'll wait and see what happens.
You'd have to tow them all the way across the racetrack. I don't think
that's
you
fair.
can
There. We'll wait and see.
But not to mention, that's the second time, I think, in the last, hour or so that Monarch Race Team has seen their rear wing come off?
Yeah, I want to say a little bit more than that, but yeah, that's a team that had the issue. That wasn't Monarch. That was the...
It was the car that got spun into the left side wall at the west.
Oh, yeah, you're right. No, you're exactly correct. That was Monarch. Yeah, you're right. So there's kind of... I can't tell. This is really bad. If that's the camera moving or the car moving.
It's the camera. You can tell by the telephone pole it is, or the light pole, it is indeed the camera moving.
By the light pole. Shut up. There's the tow.
Okay. They allow it.
It is. There it is. Or the caution. Nope, no caution. Yeah.
It would not be the
Hold on, look at this, though. There's some teams who thought that, though. Look at this.
You see a couple of Element 2s coming down to pit road. It would not be the first time that VSCA administration today has been a little bit lax on some of the towaway zones, in particular when it was in proximity to another full course yellow just a little while before, or it was a case of, the driver wasn't in the city where he crashed. They made an honest effort to get to a spot that could be technically classified as toy zone that is well out of the way. The last time actually was at the Le Mans chicane. We saw a driver get to the opening of the wall, and they, despite it not being an official towaway zone, they declared yep, you can take the tow. It's good enough.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a smart choice. That car, I get what you're saying in real life. Maybe you can't tow from there, but as far as in danger of another car hitting it, I think that was a pretty safe move to let that car tow from that moment. But you could tell there's some other cars who thought we were about to go under yellow, because there was a few cars that dove down pit road thinking they were going to kind of, I think, beat the pit road strategy. We see that a lot.
Oh,
probably.
Sorry, Derek. We just had a spin exiting pit road. Alfonso Race for Rick Team Racing just got into the back of one of the GT cars. Spun out on pit exit.
I was going to say real quick to finish the thought, though. You see that more commonly in NASCAR, I think, by the way, where teams try to beat the safety car or beat the caution by pitting. So that's what you saw there, I thought. But let's see what the spin's going to be in a moment when our replay machine catches up with it here, and we'll wait and see what happens. And we'll wait and see. There's the car parked. That's going to be a problem if it doesn't get moving, because that's clearly in a danger zone right there on the exit of pit road. But I think they maybe are moving away, so I think we might be safe here. But we'll rewind the tape here, or the digital file, or whatever we have nowadays, and we'll see what happened in just a moment here.
And you see Alfonso Race there for Rick Team Racing too. Fighting his way
that
out.
car's not okay.
Yeah, he's struggling a little bit. That car had some front end damage on the way out of pit road, because it, of course, ran right into the back of a GT Pro. Keep in mind, this is gonna. We got the replay coming up here. Pit limiters are still engaged throughout all of this, Derek. I mean, he just runs into the back of the Mercedes in the corner.
That tells me they weren't using a pit. I mean, not that they were speeding, but it tells me they were trying to flirt with the pedal probably, and just make up every iota of time they could, and end up kind of hitting the GT3 and then spinning themselves around. But what I'm confused by, I mean, watch this again. Let me see what's before I say something.
You can see it. Oh, that tells a very different story.
Certainly does. Yeah, you're right. Maybe that GT just slowed down and got hit from behind. I'm most confused, though, honestly. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, Nolan, that's not the worst damage or worst hit you and I have seen all day. But the way that car was behaving on track afterwards, you would have thought it was like a much harder hit, honestly. That car was not stable going through the infield.
Could just be cold tires, right? I mean, this is a car that just got fresh tires onto that machine, and you know, then it spends a lot of time in cooling grass, in damp grass, mind you, as well, because of the dew point that we've set it in. It's very high humidity right now, over 90%, as a matter of fact. So that could very well be the case. It was just a matter of, oh, well, just some cold tires. Took a little while for them to get back up to pace.
Yeah, we'll wait and see if anything comes of that, but we'll see how they behave in the next few laps here, or if something worse happens. And that's always the danger of driving a damaged prototype around any car, but especially a prototype. Those things are so finicky when they're broken that it can snap around at any given moment and make things even worse. But side by side, we're going to be here through the start-finish line down to turn 1. This right now, I believe, is for 4th in the prototype class.
Diving
there is,
down.
Yeah, a big pass, a big move, a big lunge.
That is going to be Mario Campolucci for V1M. Completed a pass on Jason Burney
I don't
from
think he did.
Wastegate
Hold on.
Racing.
Oh, he did. Okay.
So Jason Burney going to make up yet another overtake here, this time through, as Campolucci holding on still in that 4th place spot. And V1M has been kind of hovering around that 5th to 3rd mark all night long so far. They've only got 1.2 seconds away for the catcher to Alan Paris and Pack Simsport.
See now he's going to get around some of the other classes of traffic and get around here through the NASCAR portion of the track. Be ready here for the Le Mans chicane. And he's made a bit of a gap here, at least for the moment, due to that traffic. And now it gets around here just a few seconds before he finds the next traffic. And this is going to be a bit of a gaggle right here, to use a phrase from Matt Malone and his streams. A gaggle is, I believe, 4 or more cars up ahead of you. If Dustin Alves is still in the chat, he'll confirm. But I do believe a gaggle is 4 or more cars.
He just departed a few minutes ago, so I think he might have just missed that one.
That's fine. Usually, any chance Dustin gets to correct me, he'll wake up out of sleep before. So we'll see if that happens. But now, I was going to tell you before all that calamity happened. I'm a Yoshi player. Can I say that out loud? Is that safe to say around here? I'm a Yoshi player. If we're gonna play a Mario Kart, all Yoshi all the time.
I mean, that's fair. There's worse options.
Yoshi is goated. I'm just saying.
I'm a Koopa Troopa guy.
I thought you were more of a Waluigi myself.
It's a close second. It depends on the weight distribution, right? If I want to be a bully, that is Waluigi.
Yeah, we'll just need like 18 capture cards, 3 computers, and 1 central location for a Mario Kart tournament.
Yeah, good luck with that one. It'd be hard enough finding the central location.
Yeah.
Nintendo, let us stream your games.
Yeah, I'm not that versed in the Mario Kart world. I don't own a current Nintendo product. I don't even know if that game has a spectator mode, honestly.
Yeah, it doesn't. I actually did call one Mario Kart tournament before, but the way we did it was we were effectively just jumping back and forth between 4 different Twitch streams the entire time.
Well, it's not a bad thought. There's worse ways to do that. Question from the Twitch. Question from the YouTube chat. What caused the 99 to have to go to the pits? Was there a replay of the incident?
There was.
Yep, there was.
The
And
answer
that was
is the car spun off at turn 1.
So that's what caused that. Number 91 got wrecked into driving hour 8 and is now in P3. It was another comment from the YouTube chat. So, by the way, we want to say real quick, guys, if you're on the YouTube chat, thank you for hanging out here. We know we're deep into this broadcast, and we're still strong in not just the viewership, but we're strong in the YouTube activity all night long. So thank you guys for sticking around, rooting on your favorite drivers, asking questions, whether you're drivers in this race, whether you're family, friends, maybe you just drivers of other Green Flag TV leagues and you've popped in. I have seen Doyle Lawrence from Premier Sim Racing today. I saw some of the guys from the High Tide Racing League in here earlier, so it's always great that the Green Flag family comes out and supports one. Say Green Flag family 5 times fast. That's hard to do.
Yeah,
he's doing
I'm
it
not
silently.
gonna try it.
No.
Shut up! Don't call me out. Don't call me out on this. I didn't try it.
Oh, well, right now we're watching here with the Go Win Racing number 19 here. They're up in 3rd place. This is Chip Michaels in the car in the GT AM category. That's the green markers on the cars, but if you're new to the stream, that's how we can tell the GT3s apart pretty easily. The colors on the cars match the colors on your ticker on the left here, which is the green for the AMs and the red for the pros. And I know I said this earlier, I think with Marty, if not with Finn. Nolan, one thing I love about this race is if you look at the manufacturer icons up and down the field. I mean, obviously the LMP2s, there's one car, I get that. But look at like the GT3s, look at the GTPs. It is great to see the variety of manufacturers being represented. It's not one car just dominating this field.
And a lot of that has to do with a lot of the BOP restrictions that have been done and all the weight limits and fuel limitations that have been done to all these cars, right, to kind of even the playing field a lot among the different manufacturers. But you look at others like FTR, right? You look at FTR, the Ford Mustang at that championship was by and large the dominant car. I mean, it was a constant seeing RPM Racing up at the front time after time again in those races. But here, it's been up and down. You've seen Mercedes at the front. You've seen Ferraris, BMWs, McLarens, across all series, even the GTPs. You've had Cadillacs, Porsches, BMWs, Ferraris been up front. Even the Acura at one point was starting to get into the mix before, of course, said Acura ended up spinning off the road a few times. But it's one of those cases, right, where those balance of performance, features that VSCA implements, while yes, not everybody likes it, it does create for quite the spectacle and makes it so all drivers can create quite a diverse grid out there in the field.
By the way, breaking news. I know where Christian, our producer Christian, got this from, but apparently, yes, you can spectate in Mario Kart World, the newest one. So,
really?
Apparently, there is a spectator mode.
Derek, I'm getting bad ideas again. Stop me.
Yeah, no. Apparently, hold on.
So we'll
Yeah, it came from Reddit, so never mind. We'll just, that's it.
We'll take that with a metric ton of salt.
Yeah, you said stop me. It's like, oh, it came from Reddit. There, that's the All right. Well, a good solid run for this red car in Chip Michaels here, as it's just at this point they're riding along here. The nighttime is out, and this, by the way, I will say one thing I like about this 24 Nolan is how well, and maybe it's because we're on an American track, and maybe you have a better idea for this, how well the in-sim time matches. At least for us Americans, the outside time. And what I mean by that is there's been 24s that I've done or helped manage or commentated where when it's dark in sim, it's light outside and vice versa. And as a driver, that can really mess with you, man. If you go 24 hours only looking at darkness because either you're in sim, then you hop out of the car and it's dark outside, that can really mess with you. So I'm really happy to see that this race lines up with the time frame.
You're riding aboard right now with Chip Michaels for Going Racing. He is currently trying to run down Chris Caddies for BMW M Team TSR GTM just up the road. Battle for 39th overall second in the GTM category. And frankly, you know, when you look at a lot of the drivers that are several laps down as a result of incidents so far this race, the thing that surprised me is not seeing more of the prototypes down. That's also not too uncommon, right? You see quite a few prototypes down the overall order. But right now, the only prototype actually that's below the GT field is Airs Racing, as previously mentioned, is out of the race. And that's not a discount on the field. That is a stellar thing to see.
That is a stellar thing to see. Now we're seeing another car here on pit road here at the 11-hour and 33-minute mark to go. That is VIM 11. That's Kyle Allen in the car. And at one point, I think they were leading at some point in this race. So they might get back there after these pit stop cycles.
Bit of a close shave there between Kyle Allen and Dylan Babcock coming out of pit road. That is for second place in LMP2 currently, making their way back out onto the racetrack. Watch that grass, gentlemen. Seen cars clip that before and go spinning around, but they get out safely. Problem is they got the McLaren right in front of them. They're going to cut their way through right away.
By the way, since I'm apparently I'm the king of no fun, if we do the whole map voting like they do in Counter-Strike where you ban maps, I'm banning Rainbow Road, just for the record.
I'm with the producer here. I'm going to opt for skill issue on that one.
Whatever. I'm still banning Rainbow Road. It's not fun.
You dare. You know what? You know what, actually? Which Rainbow Roads? There's like...
Yes.
If you're talking about the original Rainbow, like the original, okay, valid. I can see your point. Any others? You're dead to me. Yes, I hate that. I hate Rainbow Road. It's aggravating. It's an annoying track. That's the fun of it. We like being angry. That's the point of Mario Kart, is to get mad at things.
If I want to be angry, I'd go play League of Legends. I don't need to play Mario Kart for that.
That's fair.
Shout out. By the way, here's a fun fact, since I'm on this topic of ranting at the moment. Lucas Moody, our overnight commentator, here's a fun fact that's not really fun. He says League of Legends is his calm down meditation game.
I don't believe him.
No one's ever played League of Legends to be a happy person. Never. Well, you can tell we've gotten into the late parts of the 24s. We've kind of gotten a little off topic. You know, Nolan's actually a pretty good segue, and I talked a little bit about this with Finn earlier. This is no different than what the teams do about this part of the night. I mean, here we are now approaching, 11 p.m. Eastern. So that's doing some math about 4 a.m. GMT. This is about that part of the night where teams start to get a little punchy. You've been at this race 12 hours now. You're trying to entertain yourself. This is sort of the fun part of the 24 for some people, because this is when silliness happens. The good news is you really bond as a team. You build some rapport. You really get along pretty well. The bad news is it can really break your concentration. It just takes one little silly thing, and you could go from doing well in the 24 just to losing everything because of silly banter like the ones we're having.
Well, and this is kind of bringing up a conversation that Justin and I were having earlier on this afternoon, right? It was a big topic on, you know, when you're in the car, right, do you want to have a team that likes to talk in your ear a lot, or is that only distraction you would prefer that they would just be quiet? And I think it kind of goes both ways, right? I mean, on a restart, yeah, you're wanting them to be quiet because you're trying to focus and get your head back in the game. But if you're in these longer stints, especially if you're in a middle of the night stint, I wouldn't mind some chatter personally, because it keeps you awake on what could be a monotonous drive otherwise.
Yeah, I was hanging out in my team's Discord before coming over to call the 24 here, and they were going off to go do a 6-hour race, the Global Endurance Series, and one of them said, hey, just so you know, I don't like any talking when I race. I was like, oh, okay. Then you picked the wrong teammate, but we'll let that go. But that's what I thought in my head. I was like, shouldn't have teamed with that guy. But no, they went off and did their race, and I hope they did well. But yeah, some drivers just don't really value that talking. They prefer the silence.
And there's places for both, right? I mean, it's to each their own thing. I mean, the drivers that like to focus up, those are usually the drivers that are taking it a bit more seriously, and they're, of course, the drivers that really need that silence for the concentration, and they like the silence. It helps them focus, and for some racers, you could say this is their calm down portion of the race. You just saw 2 cars get her out. Matco Fisher Motorsports, Pascal Tice dropping spots, both Jose Barbosa and Tyler Redden. So that drops Fisher Motorsports back to 9th place now in GT Pro, and here comes one of our GTPs into the box.
Boy, this ride right here, when you're either doing it by hand or whether you're using your pit limiter, which I advise almost everyone should be on pit limiter, but I know it's a little quote unquote faster not to do it. But this ride right here is painful to be this slow for that much of the track. You gotta wait till you get out away from that wall on your driver right before you're allowed to get off of the pit limiter and get back up to speed. Oh, there's cold tires spun around for that car that just pitted. That's the 7 car. That's that orange and blue machine, Nolan. He just pitted, and you see cold tires took effect there.
And that's your overall race leader, mind you, because Douglas Souza has just gone around the BMW M Team Delta Racing. However, BMW M Team, they've got a black flag holding over them, Derek, because they've just hit the 10x incident limit. So it's really going to be Pax Simsport that's going to inherit the lead, and he is still in the battle with V1M just behind them.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, man. And I'll tell you, man, 10x is tight. That's a rough penalty. I mean, listen, it works, and it works for them, and I respect it. I'm not mocking the rule. I'm saying as a driver, 10x to a penalty is super tight. That's and granted, at a track like Daytona, it's not that bad. There's not that many off tracks here that won't just kill you, honestly. But there's plenty of tracks on the upcoming schedule where you could really, I mean, Sebring has full of off tracks if you're not careful, where you could be off track and probably be okay. So that 10x rule is going to bite some people as the season progresses for the VSCA.
And of course, the 10X is a rolling system, so it's every 10 incident points you get that drive-through. I think virtually every car in the field has gotten one of those at least once. Some drivers numerous times. At this point in the field, so it's no surprise, right? To see, oh, hold on, look out! As a bit of miscommunication there for Alan Paris getting around that GTM car, went up high just as the M car did to try to let him through and nearly caused a massive collision, much like we saw a couple times in the Roar.
Yeah, almost a massive collision. We saw a lot of those in the Roar, either both under yellow and under green at the Roar. We saw a bunch of massive collisions. So we hopefully won't see too many of those as this night progresses. But oh, hold on, there's a massive collision. What was there a car parked there? What the hell was that?
Oh, look out! It's not done! Spins back into traffic, and he's gonna take out, I believe, one of the Porsches. That may have been the 554 that got nicked. It was Red Lab Competizione who's had problems before that's gone off the road.
That's got to be a yellow. I know he's driving away, but there's a car killed back there, I'm pretty sure.
And they got one stopped in the infield, and that is...
There's another one. That's
V1M. That's Martin Capalucci, the guys they were fighting with.
Who's the red car he hit? That's what I want to know.
Red Lab Competizione. That would be the number 10. And
there's your caution.
There it is. What in the world happened?
Pax Simsport was going through, And honestly, we'll get a different camera angle in a second. I know we will, but from the way it looked in that camera, it looked like that red car was either stopped or parked sideways, and that Sim Sport didn't know it. I mean, they just crushed them. Watch this again. Here's the replay upcoming. There's the red car. Does he get loose?
Let's take a look here. Coming through the kink. Oh my.
Oh,
good.
Oh, I know. I lied. I was completely wrong. Sim Sport might be the victim of the initial wreck.
Oh, they definitely were. They got absolutely run over back there.
From that first camera angle, I thought they hit something and caused that little bit of an explosion, but no, they were the victim, and then they slid back across, and I guess, watch this again here. I'm just going to wreck forward. Watch that.
Oh my. Now, mind you,
was there something behind Red Lab? Like, what did Red Lab just miss a braking point? Like, I'm so confused.
No, they were slowing up with the GTM car that was slow coming out of the kink. Now, mind you, VSCA does mandate at least one human spotter for every single team, and clearly someone was caught napping there.
The driver, honestly, like, I hate to say it that way, but the driver was caught napping. Like that car didn't just like spawn. I mean, he was there. Wow.
And that effectively wipes out the entire podium, Derek, of the overall race. Albrecht Motorsports and VSR Competición Bianco, they've now taken up the lead 1-2 with Douglas Souza from BMW M-Team Delta Racing fighting their way back to third.
That's got to be the damnedest thing I've seen in a while. Like, I mean, I understand what happened
besides
here.
the first hour of this race with the stuff.
I don't know. That might be weirder. I mean, and I understand what happened here after seeing the replays, but they wrecked forward. Like, most commonly when you and I see a wreck at this place, the wreck kind of goes backwards. I mean, eventually it does. They kind of make a full circle, actually, because then eventually Pax hits the Red Lab car. But, like, typically not break off and the wrecks go forward, right? Typically a wreck happens and cars kind of go backwards through the track and hit people behind them. Wow.
You know, that scene of the GTP spinning across the infield of the exit of the kink there, that kind of was very reminiscent of a huge crash that we had the last time we had the Daytona 24 back in 2024 for this race. You had one of the it was an Audi R8, I believe a GT Pro car, got shunted off the road by a prototype in the kink, and because those cars, of course, have traction control and ABS, the car couldn't stop. It speared all the way across the racetrack straight to the exit of turn 6, where it ended up in a head-on T-bone collision with another prototype.
Well, small, tiny silver lining for Sim Sport. I guess since the full course yellow came out instantly, they were able to drive away. They're going to drive that car back to pit road. And yes, there's work to be done on this car. Don't misunderstand the comment. But they're going to avoid what's probably, I'm guessing, a 7-minute, 8-minute, maybe 10-minute plus tow under caution back to pit road. So they're, compared to their competitors they were involved in that wreck with, they're going to have a time advantage of being able to drive this thing back around and pit. And yes, it's going to require work. Yes, they're going to, at least for the moment, be out of contention. I mean, heck, this is a team that's already come back from 4 laps down once. It would be wild if they did it again in the next 11 hours or so. Because I'm going to assume they're going to be, I would think, at least a lap or 2 down. I don't know how long this repair is going to be. Wow.
Well, we have Tyler Rubio from Eris Racing that is standing by. Now, of course, the GTP entry is very much down and unfortunately out of the race so far here tonight, Derek, but they do still have a GTM car in the running, and that car currently headed up by Sean O'Dell, running P6 in GTM right now, car number 9.
So, Tyler, first off, we're under caution right now, and I know we're kind of perplexed by what happened. I'm going to go off script here. Have you seen the wreck? What was your impression of what happened that put out this yellow here? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I think, like you guys were stating, I think the GTPs in front were slowing down for the GT, I believe, Pro, and I believe that I think they just miscalculated that and went a little too hard into that corner, and unfortunately took out 3 of them.
Wow. Mm-mm-mm. Lots of implications to be had all night long there. But come back to your car in the GTM with the daily carts, dot market, Aries Racing. Overall, how is your guys' day going? How's your day going?
It's going well. That's our second car. They're, I believe, 1 lap down right now, trying to get back on that lead lap. So I'm very proud of the guys that are driving that race. Unfortunately for my car, our day kind of turned, to put it bluntly, kind of crappy. But it's unfortunate with what happened. But have to learn off of that, unfortunately.
Well, so you got the 1 car left here, currently running, I think, P9 in GTM. What is your outlook for this team for the rest of the day?
To keep pushing. I believe that they have a really good chance at getting a top 5, which we're really hoping for. Obviously, want to win, but really pushing for that top 5 finish.
So I'm curious. I would say I think as far as GT3s, the Lambo's either my favorite or maybe my second favorite from an aesthetic standpoint of the GT3s in iRacing. But it's not one I feel like we commonly see selected by the iRacing community to drive in. Do you know what went into the selection of picking the Lambo for this car?
So originally we really didn't want to pick the Lambo, but after kind of looking at the data, test driving all the cars, the Lambo seemed like a really balanced car. Not only that, it does sound really nice. So kind of the bigger outcome of why the Lambo was chosen for the GT3 car.
Fair enough. Nolan, what do you have?
The priorities, right? Picking the sound of a car. I mean, I respect it personally. That's my first priority when I'm picking a new car. Not to be ballistic too is, does the car sound good? You can't drive for a long time if it doesn't sound good, right?
Oh my god. Right. You're that guy.
I am that guy.
You are that guy. You're like a car salesman's dream when you walk into a car lot. I can see that now. You're like you're like that guy. Well, the first part of the safety car's over here. We still got a little bit to go here, Tyler. So I know you said your car's had a crappy run, or is your car specifically done for the night? Or are you thinking you guys are going to get it out there and get some more points, or what's the plan?
Yeah, unfortunately, we crashed out in the first hour. Backstory to that, I watched the replay from our camera and then went to the stream. Watched it over. I heard you guys commentating about the throttle being stuck. I just wanted to come out and say that was correct. We were having issues with our teammates' throttle. The pedal was getting stuck on the first or last safety car lap. So we were trying to see how we could manage it. Unfortunately, we went into turn 1. That lockup wasn't due to just like a misbraking. The throttle was stuck. So he was pressing the brake, full braking. The throttle just wouldn't come unstuck, and then going into turn 4, the throttle just completely stuck.
Well, a long season ahead. Next, I believe, up in about a month or so is Long Beach. You guys can rebound there. Either Long Beach or is there a different track that you guys really kind of have circled on the calendar as a track you're looking forward to?
Now, personally, for me, I think Sebring will be a huge track for us. One of my favorites, Indy. So really, all of them are really important, but I would definitely say I think Sebring and maybe even Canadian would be our top tracks.
Fair enough. Well, Tyler, anyone you want to say hello to or give a shout out to?
I just want to give a shout out to my family and then also my team as well. I also want to formally apologize to that team that we had taken out. We do truly apologize about that. Unfortunately, there was nothing we could have done, even if we tried to race, so I do truly apologize about that. But like I said, I do want to shout out everybody I just stated, and yeah.
Fair enough. Well, listen, it's a pleasure talking to you. I'm sure we'll talk to you throughout the season, and we wish your team the best of luck.
Yeah, thank you guys.
That is Tyler Rubio, and there he is. And so Nolan, he says he's looking forward to some future races. I don't know if we can take a second under yellow. I'm going to kind of put our producer on the spot. We have a full season schedule to look at here. I know next up on the calendar will be Long Beach, and then we'll go from there. Let's see if we can get it. Here it is. So Long Beach Street Circuit is next. That's 2 hours and 40 minutes on February the 7th. That's about a little less than a month from now. Then we'll move to Sebring for the 12 hours. Then we get a string of sprint races: Laguna Seca, VIR, Canadian Tire, and Homestead, Miami. And then we'll wrap it up. We do 10 races at a time on our schedule, so we're missing Petite. We got Watkins Glen, Road America, and I believe Petite Le Mans is the last one. So this is a pretty fun schedule for VSCA.
It is, and it's an extremely fun schedule, and a lot of these races, in fact, pretty much every single race we've already seen before in VSCA competition. The lone exception to this rule, Derek, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. That is going to be a new quantity to us here on Green Flag TV. Looking set to be an extremely fun bout of racing there on that afternoon. Checking in here real quick, just looking to see what that race would have been at in 2024 when this race is on the way. Because I can tell you right now, that was not a race that was on the calendar in 2024. They did not race at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. It's because they were racing a Circuit of the Americas, and I tell you what, I think CTMP is going to be a much more exciting race.
Yeah, that would be a way better race. And I remember that also Miami road course race, that replaces another track I believe we don't have in iRacing. And for the life of me, I can't remember which one it would be on the IMSA schedule, but that's why it's there on that. So a fun schedule upcoming. And speaking of upcoming, it's about time for our next swap of commentators. So what's going to happen in a few minutes, if you're watching the YouTube, which I guess you are if you're hearing my voice, the YouTube feed will eventually swap you over. We will drop the link a couple times as well in the YouTube chat for the next segment of the race, the next 4-hour block. It'll be Nolan Rimple and Sky Shrek taking over in just a moment as we're under safety car. You know, Nolan, I guess for the past couple commentators or producer swaps, these safety cars have been timed pretty convenient. We did the same thing 4 hours ago between Dustin Ollis and Christian Hill.
Yes, sir. If we're going to have safety car periods, we like it when they're convenient for us. It makes it so much more easy to transition from one thing to the next. You don't need to disrupt any battles that we're watching. We can just make a smooth transition over.
Okay, I've got to share this because I don't know how to react to this. Sky Shrek, who's up next, says, I have a jar of peanut butter, 2 Dr. Peppers, and 30-minute Slim Jims for dinner. What the hell is that?
Oh, no.
That's what it said. Wow. I mean, I understand Dr. Pepper and Slim Jims. It's the peanut. I mean, I'm not opposed to any of those things. I love Dr. Pepper. I love peanut butter, as long as it's chunky peanut butter, by the way. And the Slim Jims I love, but not together.
That's a choice. It's a brave choice.
Speaking of choices, I'm going to end on this. And first off, I want to say to everyone, thank you for having us here at Green Flag TV, or having Green Flag TV produce this race. It's been a blast. And my 4 hours is about up. I'm going to share this with you, though. Our producer, Christian Hill, shared with me the weirdest food thing you ever heard of. You ready for this?
Oh, please tell me.
You take mint chocolate chip ice cream, you put it in a cup, right? And then you make an ice cream float by putting orange soda over top of it.
Why? Why would you do that? We're firing Christian after this one. This is his last production with us. That feels like that should be an international crime.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Like, yeah, and you know what? And I can prove you I'm not lying, because he knows I hate it. So he sent me a video of him making it a couple nights ago. I have a video of him pouring the orange soda into the cup with ice cream on it.
Oh no! Oh no!
Things that make you go.
Oh. Oh no!
Yeah, it's gross.
He can't defend himself, and I'm kind of happy for that, because I don't want to hear what whack justification he would have for that, but he's trying in the chat, but it's not working very well. The mint is different than toothpaste, and orange than orange soda.
So, okay, what he's saying is...
What? That's not an excuse, Christian.
No, what he's saying here, I'll defend a smidge. What he's trying to say is when most people hear mint, they think of like mint toothpaste. They think all mint is the same, which is a flat out lie. Like the mint in like peppermint patties is not the same mint in toothpaste. He's right about that. It doesn't justify the 2 flavor combinations.
no. What? I'm struggling the orange, then orange soda.
Here, I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to do this real quick. Sky Shrek, welcome to the commentator booth. We'll get you an official
Hi.
welcome in just a second. Your friend, Christian Hill, who you work with CIL together, who's also debuting
Yes.
on Green Flag TV this year. Have you heard this weird combination of ice cream and soda? Did you hear this, or do I need to tell you?
He doesn't need to
No,
know
I
it.
joined about halfway through this
Spare him the
conversation and was
mercy.
really
Okay,
confused.
it is-
Spare
it is-
him.
It is mint. Is it, Christian, you can talk about yours. Is it mint chocolate chip, or is it just mint ice cream? Which was it? It's mint chocolate chip ice cream and orange soda to make an ice cream float.
Just use root beer.
Just don't
What
put
is
those
wrong with
combos
you
together.
What is wrong with you people? You all belong in an asylum somewhere.
As you can see, we've gotten into the podcast mode of the VSCA.
Yeah.
Maconi setup shop 24-hour. We've hit that point, I think.
Ay.
Boy. All right. Well, listen, I think right now what we're going to do for a second is we're going to lay it back for a second. We're going to go on board, I believe, with a car that I forgot the name of. This one right here. And we're going to make the swap for the YouTube feed. I am so
It's
tired.
the Sim City race number 71 of Carson Allen.
It's like I do this. It's like they pay me to do this or something. It's
We're
not
going
that-
on board with a car. You are not
A-
technically incorrect, but you're not right either.
Anyways, we're gonna go on board with the. I forgot what car it is. This car right here. And what's gonna happen is the YouTube feed's gonna flip over in a second. If you're on, I believe, a phone or your computer, YouTube likely drops you over to the next feed. The TV apps can be finicky. Please hop over the next 4 hours of racing. It's been a pleasure with you guys. Thank you so much. Nolan, you and Sky are next, and we're gonna lay back and do this, and we'll let you guys talk soon.